You're tuned to the national network of Springbok Radio. We are operating on FM, medium wave, and shortwave transmitters in the 90 and 120 meter bands. And remember that our late night program this evening, Saturday 68, features the Afrikaans orchestras. That'll take the air at about 10:36, and well, if you're a fan of the Boer Orchestra, you can hear that at 10:36 tonight. I can see our operator outside who's controlling me at the moment with all sorts of little needles and meters and so on and so forth. He is, and he'll be tuned in. He has to be. He can't get away. He's working. Anyway, that's at 10:36 tonight. Springbok Radio time right now is 8:30.
The court is now in session. Silence in court. Ernest Archibald Pearson, you're charged that on the 7th day of April this year, that is 1967, you did at a place known as Blagden in the county of Somerset, unlawfully and with malice aforethought, take the life of one Brian Richfield. How say you to this charge? You plead guilty or not guilty?
This whole thing is a nightmare. Of course I didn't do it. Record a plea of not guilty.
It's time for you to take your place on the jury as Bristol Myers, makers of new Ban Roll-On and new Ban Aerosol Spray Deodorant, Clairol Hair Care Products, and Ipana Toothpaste, invite you to... consider your verdict.
It will not be necessary for the Crown to detail the case against the prisoner at the bar, Ernest Pearson. Why do I say this? Simply because the basic facts are irrefutable and require no elaboration. It is common cause that on the morning of April the 7th, Richfield was found hanging from a fixture attached to the ceiling of the bedroom he was occupying. It is equally established that the bedroom in question was part of the residence belonging to the prisoner at the bar. Now, the door of his room had been locked from the inside, and there was no apparent way of gaining other access to the bedroom. Thus, it would seem that the death of this unfortunate young man was brought about by his own hand. However, due to the vigilance of the police officer in charge of the investigation of what appeared to be suicide, certain facts were brought to light which will be placed before the court. You will hear that not only did Pearson have a strong motive for wishing Richfield's death, but also that he had actually threatened the now dead man but a few weeks previously. That, coupled with evidence, will lead you to the inescapable conclusion that the death of Brian Richfield was not the result of suicide, but of cold-blooded, deliberate murder. I now call my first witness, Mrs. Mary Sanders. Mrs. Sanders, you are employed as cook housekeeper by Mr. Pearson?
Yes, sir. I was with the family for over 12 years.
Mr. Pearson is a widower, is he not?
That's right, sir. Mrs. Pearson passed away about 6 years ago. Mind you, she was always in delicate health, poor dear.
On April the 16th, his daughter Margaret celebrated her 18th birthday.
Yes, sir, she did.
She was your employer's only child.
Yes, sir. As sweet a girl as you could wish.
Mr. Pearson was very fond of his daughter.
Fond of her? He worshipped the ground she walked on. Miss Margaret was all he had to live for, he used to say.
Did you know the deceased, Brian Richfield?
Yes, sir. He was courting Miss Margaret.
Did you get the impression that Mr. Pearson approved of this?
Well, I know he didn't, sir. He didn't approve at all.
Did he, in your hearing, give the reasons for this disapproval?
Well, he didn't think young Master Brown was good enough for his daughter.
Did Richfield frequently visit the house?
Oh, no, sir. The master would never have stood for that.
How did you know?
Well, Miss Margaret used to confide in me, like she told me she was in love with him and how she often used to go out and meet him away from the house.
Yes, there was one occasion in February when Richfield visited the Pearsons' home, did he not?
Yes, sir, he did. I remember it well. I answered a knock at the door, and there he was, standing there.
Did you show him in?
Oh, yes, sir. He said he had an appointment. I showed him into the library where Mr. Pearson was reading.
Did you overhear what passed between your employer and Mr. Richfield?
Well, yes, sir. You see, I was working in the dining room next to the library. I didn't hear anything at first except a mumble of voices, but then I heard Mr. Pearson shouting. He was saying, "No son of Arthur Richfield will marry my daughter."
Look, this ridiculous feud between you and my father... Feud, you call it? Your father went to jail for 7 years because as my solicitor, he defrauded me of £60,000. Ridiculous, you call it? All right, my father committed a crime and he's paying for it. But that's nothing to do with me. Hasn't it? Why were you expelled from school? Well, I was younger. It was all a mistake. Mistake, indeed. Richfield, there's a streak in your family that is rotten through and through. Now, look here. Young man, I don't propose to argue with you. I have allowed you to see me to tell you that I will never consent to your marrying my daughter. Then Margaret and I will marry without your consent. I'm sorry, but... Forget that she is underage. She is now. But it won't be long before she's of age. And how do you propose to support her? When Margaret becomes 21, she'll inherit the money your wife left her. She's agreed that I should go to university so that I can have a proper profession. Really? You plan to marry and live off my daughter? That isn't true. Oh, isn't it? No, it's not. We love each other. I doubt if a Richfield could love anybody. Say what you like. Margaret and I are going to get married with or without your consent. If you think I'm going to allow my daughter to marry a wastrel and a scoundrel, you're very much mistaken. Oh, I know my daughter thinks she's in love with you. But no good can come of it. I'll do all I can to stop it. But you can't, can you? Oh, you can prevent her seeing me for a while. But after that... I warn you. I would kill you before I'd let you harm my daughter. Do you hear me? I would kill you.
You heard that, did you? You swear on oath that you distinctly heard Mr. Pearson threaten the life of Mr. Richfield?
Yes, sir, I did.
I now want you to tell us something about the morning of the 8th, the day when Richfield's body was found hanging from a fixture attached to the ceiling of the bedroom.
Well, I'll tell you all I know.
First of all, you were present when the body was discovered?
Yes. Yes, I was.
Would you describe what you saw?
Well, sir, I took Mr. Richfield his morning tea, and I couldn't get an answer. I knocked and I knocked. Mr. Richfield! Mr. Richfield! Mr. Richfield!
What is it, Mrs. Saunders? Why are you creating such a commotion?
It's Mr. Richfield, sir. I can't get any reply.
Probably fast asleep. Why did you just walk in?
Well, I tried to, sir, but the door's locked.
Certainly appears to be a sound sleeper. Here, let me try. Richfield, wake up! Richfield! Wake up! Locking his door like a frightened young female.
I don't think anyone could sleep through this racket.
Well, come with me. We'll go round the back and look through the windows. I suppose he is in the room.
We went round onto the lawn, looked through the window. Oh, it was horrible. There he was, dangling from the ceiling. I couldn't believe my eyes.
Most unpleasant for you. Then what happened?
Well, Mr. Pearson broke the pane of glass and bolted the window from the inside, rushed in. He shouted to me to get the kitchen knife. He cut the rope. And he asked me to help him put Mr. Richfield on the bed. He was all limp and folded up like his face all blue. Oh, it was terrible.
Very nasty experience for you, Mrs. Saunders. Then what happened?
Well, Mr. Pearson says I seem to have driven this young man to suicide. I must call the police.
He did, sir?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. That is all. Mrs. Saunders, do you view my client in a friendly light?
I don't know what you mean, sir.
Do you like your employer?
Well, I don't think one way or the other.
Come, Mrs. Sanders, you worked with him for 12 years. Surely you must have some definite opinion as to his character or his work.
Well, I don't like the way he tried to separate those two, that's a fact.
Mrs. Sanders, my client strongly denies ever uttering the words, I quote your evidence, "Richfield, I warn you, I would kill you before I would let you harm my daughter."
He said them. It's true.
Mrs. Sanders, you say that you heard these threats being uttered when you were in the dining room and my client and Richfield were in the library.
That's right, sir.
There is a communicating door between the library and the dining room?
Yes, sir.
Was the door open or closed?
It was closed.
I see. And the other door? The door giving access to the library from the hall. Was that open?
I don't know, sir.
Oh, come. According to your evidence, you showed your visitor into the library where your employer was reading. Did you not close the door when you left them?
I can't remember, sir.
But would you not do so as a normal procedure?
I suppose so, yes.
Mrs. Sanders, I conducted an experiment at the house. I asked one of my juniors to go into the library and shout at the top of his voice, whilst I and a colleague listened in the dining room. It was impossible to distinguish what was being shouted in the library.
Well, I don't know about that, but I heard it, I tell you.
You did you? On discovering the body, Mr. Pearson suggested that you accompany him to the back of the house.
Yes, sir.
It was he who cut the young man down and suggested calling the police.
Yes, sir.
Would you say that your employer was shocked?
Yes, I would, sir.
You've known him for 12 years. You've made it pretty evident that you do not regard your employer in a favorable light. Mrs. Sanders, have you ever regarded Mr. Pearson as a murderer?
My lord, never in all my life.
Mr. Brockenhurst, you are far too experienced a man. Very well, my lord, I apologize. I did not mean to get this witness to act as a judge and jury. Ever since she entered the witness box, her manner and speech has expressed a dislike for her employer and a determination to paint him in the worst possible light.
That's not true.
Mr. Brockenhurst, if you persist in attempting to turn this courtroom into the kind of legal inquiry so favored by the yellow press and American films, I shall stop the trial and see to it that you are duly admonished. I do not want to have to warn you again. This witness has a right to be protected, and she will be. Now, sir, the least you can do is to apologize to the court and to this witness in particular.
It would seem, my lord, that whatever I say now can only prove prejudicial to my client. I apologize to the court and to this witness. My lord, you are not preventing me from commenting, I trust?
The question is unworthy of you.
I apologize for the question. I merely wish to make the comment that this witness's story of overhearing such a damaging conversation, damaging to my client, that is, has no corroboration whatsoever.
Is my learned friend accusing Mrs. Sanders of perjury?
No, I am not. I am, however, diagnosing a psychological state in which, like the celebrated young Frenchwoman and her voices, which did not exist, Mrs. Sanders may not be a Joan of Arc, but has a vivid sense of the dramatic. That is all.
I think, Mr. Brockenhurst, we will call for an adjournment, and you will please see me in my chambers.
And so the usher announces the trial of Ernest Pearson for the murder of Brian Richfield temporarily suspended, and the court adjourns. This dramatized version of the trial is brought to you by Bristol Myers. Now, back to the courtroom. The judge presiding waits until the usher has announced the resumption of the trial. The leading characters have resumed their seats, and the judge says,
Gentlemen of the jury, it is to be regretted that in an excess of concern for his client, leading counsel for the defense has made statements which may imply, certainly will cause you to infer, that much of Mrs. Sanders' evidence is suspect. It is my duty to direct you that you must weigh everything that she has said and to place on it what degree of importance you wish. Should you accept or reject any part of her evidence, you are in no way causing such acceptance or rejection to reflect upon the good character of this witness.
Sir Richard.
As your lordship pleases. I would like to call to the witness stand Detective Inspector Philip Masters. Inspector, I understand that you were summoned to the home of the Pearsons on the morning of the 8th of April.
Yes, I was telephoned by Mr. Pearson.
Can you give the substance of his telephonic statement to you?
I can. The prisoner said that a young man had committed suicide in his house, and would I go there urgently?
Is such a procedure not unusual? Would not such a message to the police be received by the duty officer?
It was. What I really meant to say is that Pearson put a phone call through to the police and asked whether I was available, as he had an urgent message to give.
I see. Carry on, please.
I expressed astonishment that he should report the tragic incident to me personally. Pearson said that he was doing so because he wished to avoid any scandal, that he was extremely worried about his daughter, due to return that day, and that he would be grateful if I called personally, as he was a well-known and respected head of one of our best county families. I went over, accompanied by Sergeant Smith.
Thank you, Inspector. It was good of you to come personally. I do appreciate it.
That's all right. You say you've got a suicide in the house.
Doesn't bear thinking about.
Where did it happen?
It's in this room over here.
Young Richfield?
I cut the rope and I put him on the bed.
Well, I didn't know that he was a friend.
He's hardly a friend, Inspector. He wanted to marry my daughter. Now, this is going to be a great shock for the poor child.
What made him commit suicide?
I don't know. I suggested he stay here while Margaret was away. I wanted to have it out with him once and for all. I wanted to show him our standard of living compared with what he would provide, even with her mother's inheritance. Well, the prospect depressed him so much that he took his life. There's no other explanation.
But why here, under your roof?
Well, I'll tell you why. I find it difficult to speak ill of a man whose corpse is lying in front of me. He was neurotic to a degree. It is my view that he committed suicide in my house rather than in his own, in order that my daughter might hate me for the rest of my life. And our neighbors point an accusing finger. There can be no other explanation.
Daddy, they're coming. Oh, no, you killed him. Oh, you killed him, Daddy. How could you?
I didn't take much notice of Miss Pearson's outburst. She had been informed by Mrs. Sanders, and the shock of seeing a young man lying there could have caused her to say anything.
Nevertheless, it remained in your memory.
Naturally.
Of course. Now would you describe the scene as you first saw it when you entered the room?
The dead body of Richfield was on the bed. Around his neck was the rope. It had obviously been cut from a rope that was suspended from the ceiling. In the center of the floor, by the dangling rope, was an upturned chair. The French windows leading to the lawn were open. One pane had been shattered.
Your first impression was that the young man had stood on the chair while attaching the rope to the chandelier fittings screwed to the ceiling. Then he tied the other end of the rope around his neck and committed suicide by kicking the chair from beneath him.
That was my first impression, yes.
What made you change your mind?
Well, I suppose I began to feel uneasy because of the bedroom being locked. You see, when I arrived at the house, I was shown into the room. And later I inquired from the servant who had unlocked the door. She said that Mr. Pearson had picked up the key off the dressing table and proceeded to unlock the door when he left the room to telephone the police.
Carry on.
Well, sir, I asked Mr. Pearson if Mrs. Sanders was correct, and he said yes. He said that the key was not in the lock and that he found it on the dressing table.
Did you find this strange?
Under normal circumstances, sir, no. But for a would-be suicide to carefully lock the door on the inside and place it on the dressing table struck me as being rather peculiar.
Did this fact cause you to suspect Mr. Pearson?
Not that single fact, no. There were other contributory factors.
Such as?
Well, the bed had obviously been slept in. When I arrived, the young man was still in his pajamas. It didn't add up. In my experience, it is unusual for a person who has reached such a stage of mental unbalance as to want to commit suicide. It is unusual for them to retire to their bed after carefully undressing and putting on their night attire. And when one adds to the fact that the precise way in which the door was locked and the key removed, well, sir, I began to suspect that the young man had not taken his own life and decided to investigate the matter further.
An investigation that was to lead to the arrest of the prisoner.
Yes, sir. You see, it didn't add up. There was no doubt that Miss Pearson was determined to marry the young man when she came of age. She was to receive an annuity of £1,500 a year after tax for the rest of her life. Diaries left by the young man revealed that far from being depressed, he was scornful of the father's inability to stop the marriage.
You sought medical advice?
I did. The county surgeon's sworn affidavit declares that it is his considered opinion that Richfield was rendered unconscious and then so suspended from a rope as to cause his death.
Did you receive explanations justifying this principle?
Yes, sir. 2 grams of xylitol were found in the deceased's body, indicating that he must have been unconscious within a few seconds of swallowing this drug.
Xylitol is a barbiturate.
Yes, sir. It's most potent and given only in extreme cases and in very small doses.
Carry on, please.
Examination of the neck of the dead body showed 2 distinct horizontal marks. One indicating very clearly that Richfield was strangled by means of the rope. The other indicating that the mark was made by the weight of the body causing pressure on the rope.
Thank you, Inspector. That is all.
Inspector, you've known my client for a number of years. Would you describe him as a highly intelligent man?
Yes, I would.
Would you have regarded it as an intelligent act to ask for the most senior CID policeman in the county to call if he were guilty?
I do not see the relevance.
Suppose he made just a routine telephone call. The visit would have been made by a sergeant or someone of lesser rank.
Yes, sir, it would.
Is it not a fair assumption that the dangling cord, the upturned chair, the locked room, I repeat, is it fair assumption that the average policeman would have satisfied himself that it was a case of suicide?
Possibly.
Was not calling the most experienced detective in the county indicative of my client's innocence?
No, sir. I think that the accused hoped to convince me of the young man's suicide and wished to use my authority to keep the matter secret from the public.
Why should he want to do that? In view of his known antipathy to the young man.
For his daughter's sake.
Medical testimony, Inspector, says that prior to the man's death by hanging, he had swallowed 2 grams of xylitol. Were you able to trace where this came from?
No, sir.
During the course of your investigation, were you able to reveal one instance where my client had purchased such a drug?
No.
You made every attempt? You questioned pharmacists, doctors, and so on?
Yes, of course I did.
And the house? You made a thorough search of the house?
Yes.
You found no trace of xylitol? Or, for that matter, a container that might have held the drug?
No, I didn't.
Did you question the rest of the household, the daughter, Mrs. Sanders, whether they knew anything of a xylitol capsule or container?
I did.
Without any success?
That is so.
Inspector, do you find it peculiar that a man should want to lock his door and remove the key and place it on the dressing table?
Yes, sir.
Why? Do you not regard it as normal that a man sleeping in a strange house should want to lock the door?
It is the removal of the key and the placing of it on the dressing table that I find strange.
Really, Inspector? Would it surprise you to learn that when I'm on circuit, I invariably lock the door of the hotel room and remove the key? Does this surprise you?
A little.
But not sufficiently to want to hang a man for it.
That is just it, sir. That is the hanging I'm concerned with. I don't think a suicide would remove the key and carefully put it on a dressing table.
Are you certain he wouldn't?
Of course I'm not certain.
A handsome admission. Now, this xylitol found in the deceased's body, did you attempt to find out whether the young man was taking such a drug?
There was no point. He was unconscious when he was hanged by the neck from the ceiling.
You are not a medical man.
You know I'm not, sir.
As a senior detective, you have been involved in many trials where expert medical opinion has been stated.
Yes?
Have you not known cases where leading medical authorities have violently disagreed with each other?
I have.
Were you not failing in your duty to determine whether the young man had ever had xylitol in his possession?
Even if he had, the dose taken was a lethal one. He would not be in a position to hang himself.
Have you not thought that a young man so depressed at the thought of losing Miss Pearson might make doubly sure in his suicide attempt? First, he swallowed the xylitol, and then prepared a rope for himself to hang himself.
You forget, sir, that a man would go into a coma within 3 or 4 seconds of swallowing the drug.
You were told this?
By experts.
And you are prepared to believe it?
Yes.
Do you not know that for every drug used, somewhere there is a human being who has an allergy or resistance to that drug?
No, I didn't. I am not a medical man.
Thank you for confessing your ignorance.
I now call Dr. Robert Morgan. Dr. Morgan, you are quite convinced that there were 2 distinct marks on the deceased's neck, clearly indicating that he was choked whilst lying in a horizontal position, while the latter mark was caused while he was hanging from the rope suspended from the ceiling?
Aye.
Would you care to elaborate on that?
Well, certainly. In the first instance, the marks were those suggesting that the rope was cutting into the neck deeply. There were no skin tears or abrasions. In the second instance, the marks revealed distinct traces of abrasions caused by the tearing of the skin as the weight of the body dragged against the rope.
Thank you, Doctor. Your sworn affidavit tells of the finding of over 2 grams of xylitol in the deceased's body. Would it be possible for a human being to swallow xylitol and remain conscious for any length of time?
No, sir. No human being can remain conscious for longer than 7 or 8 seconds at the very most. The average person would lose consciousness within a couple of seconds.
Are there any exceptions to this rule?
No, sir. Xylitol is of the barbiturate group.
Thank you, Dr. Morgan. That is all. And that closes the case for the Crown, my lord.
No questions.
Well, you have heard all the relevant facts. Would you say that Ernest Archibald Pearson is guilty or not guilty of murder? In a few moments, we shall bring you the verdict recorded in the actual trial upon which this dramatic presentation is based.
Citation court. Gentlemen of the jury, have you arrived at a true and just verdict?
We have, my lord. We find the prisoner at the bar guilty of murder.
Bristol Myers, makers of new Ban Roll-On and new Ban Aerosol Spray Deodorant, Ipana Toothpaste, and Clairol Hair Care Product, hope you enjoyed tonight's presentation of Consider Your Verdict, produced by Michael Silver. On Friday evening at 8:30, you're invited to listen to Medical File, another great dramatic series also brought to you by Bristol Myers. So, goodbye until next Tuesday, when it will be time once again to take your place on the jury of... Consider Your Verdict.
So I'll pick you up at about 1:30. That should give us plenty of time.
Yes, and remember, the bet still stands, eh? Chelsea to win by 2 clear goals. We go up west and the loser pay... Hello?
Eh?
That's funny.
What?
The Kenton's door. Well, it's wide open, but there's no light on.
Well, close it for them.
No. There might be something wrong. Burglary or something. I'll give them a shot. Mr. Kenton! Mr. Kenton!
Doesn't seem to be in.
Yeah, I'm just going to have a look. It's so unlike them with all the stuff in the shop. Jack, see if there's a light switch by the door.
No.
Great Scott! Look at this!
All that blood. Who is it?
Oh, it's Mrs. Kenton. She must have fallen down the stairs in the dark. Her husband must be out. Hey, look, I'll stay here and you go and see if you can find a copper. Or use the phone box at the corner of Sydney Street and ring 999.
Well, can't we do anything for her?
No, we mustn't move her. Anyway, it's too late. I'm sure she's dead.
If
It's time for you to take your place on the jury as Bristol Myers, makers of new Ban Roll-On and new Ban Aerosol Spray Deodorant, Clairol Hair Care Products, and Ipana Toothpaste, invite you to... consider your verdict.
If you're a woman who colors her hair, here's important news.
Exclusively formulated Clairol shampoo is now available throughout South Africa. Every woman who colors her hair needs new Clairol shampoo when she washes her hair. Clairol shampoo won't harm hair coloring, won't fade the shade, wash after wash.
Don't wash the life out of your hair coloring. Use new Clairol shampoo for color-treated hair. And now Clairol shampoo is available everywhere throughout South Africa.
Has a little of the magic gone out of your life lately? Maybe your gray hair keeps you from looking as exciting as you still are. Hate that gray? Wash it away with Loving Care by Clairol. Loving Care washes away gray without changing your natural hair color. There are 11 beautiful shades of Loving Care. Choose the one nearest to your natural hair color. Wash years away in minutes with Loving Care.
The charge against Roger Kenton is that on the evening of Friday, March the 17th, 1967, he did cause the death of his wife, Isabel Kenton, by hitting her on the back of the skull with a blunt instrument, causing her to fall down a flight of stairs, and then leaving her to die of the injuries sustained. Kenton, who is 50 years of age, has since his discharge from the army attempted to earn a livelihood in a variety of ways, from selling goods on commission to managing a small restaurant, all with varying degrees of failure, until some 3 years ago, when his wife, whom he married in 1951, provided the money for him to set up as an antique dealer in a small way in Chester Street, Chelsea. Even this venture appeared to be no more successful than his previous endeavors, probably due to Kenton's sketchy knowledge of the antique trade, although he himself puts the cause of his wife's reluctance to lay out sufficient capital for him to enlarge the business and to compete with more established dealers. The Kentons lived above the shop, access to the living quarters being obtained by a flight of stairs leading from a door in Chester Street next to that of the shop. On the night in question, Inspector Roxbury was called to the building as a result of a telephone call made to Scotland Yard. I call as my first witness Inspector Roxbury. Inspector Roxbury, will you please describe the sequence of events subsequent to your arrival at Chester Street?
Yes, sir. I found Mrs. Kenton lying at the foot of the stairs leading from the street door. She was quite dead and appeared to have lost a considerable quantity of blood from a head wound on the base of the skull. She was dressed in her nightclothes, and from the state of the bed when I examined the house, it would appear that she had at some time previously actually been in bed. There was no one else in the building and no obvious signs of burglary. The front door had not been forced, and although there were several windows in the upper floor open, there was no evidence that the entry had been made through any of them. After taking a statement from the two young men who had discovered the body, I sent them home and waited for the arrival of Mr. Kenton. He arrived at some 10 minutes after 11.
What on earth's going on here?
Excuse me, sir. Are you Mr. Kenton?
Yes, but what's going on? Has there been a burglary?
I'm afraid it's rather more serious than that, sir.
Isabel. It's Isabel. Something's happened to my wife.
Yes, sir.
He immediately suggested that there'd been a burglary and then surmised that his wife was involved.
Yes, sir. We went upstairs into the living room and I explained what we had found. He listened quite calmly but kept looking over to the sideboard. Are you looking for something, Mr. Kenton? Is there anything missing?
The cash box. They must have taken the cash box. I left it there before I went out.
Was there much in it?
Oh, some 30 or 35 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
We kept the cash up here. There's a small safe in the shop, but we always thought that was the obvious thing for them to take if there was a burglary, so I only kept some files and odd papers in it and brought the cash up here with me every night when I closed up. Someone must have known about that.
Possibly, sir. Can you explain your movements this evening to me?
Certainly. I've been to the cinema, the Granada. It was a Western I particularly wanted to see. I'm an addict as far as Westerns go. My wife didn't care for them much, so she decided to stay at home and go to bed early.
And what time did you go to the cinema?
Shortly after 7. I was a bit early for the start of the last program, so after I bought my ticket, I hung about in the foyer for a while until it was time to go in. Just as I was going to my seat, I met a friend, George Andrews. We arranged to have a quick drink afterwards.
You didn't sit with him?
No, he was with his wife and another couple. But as I said, we met afterwards.
So, Kenton had an alibi for the entire evening.
Oh, that's how it appeared at the time, sir. Following morning, I interviewed Mr. Andrews, and he confirmed Kenton's statement. They had met again in the foyer after the film ended and had gone to the public house next door to the cinema where they had one drink and discussed the film. Although there were accountable fingerprints to be found and nothing appeared to be missing except the cash box, I was forced to accept the theory that someone had rung the doorbell, calling Mrs. Kenton from her bed. She had answered it, been forced upstairs, and then struck over the head by a person or persons unknown, who had then taken the cash box and left the shop, leaving the front door open.
That, indeed, was a theory which would fit the facts as you knew them then. What caused you to change your ideas?
A visit I had from Mr. Armitage, sir, Mrs. Kenton's brother. Sit down, Mr. Armitage. I believe there's something you wanted to tell me.
Yes, Inspector. It's about Isabel's death. I'm sure Kenton had a hand in it.
I must warn you, Mr. Armitage. It's very dangerous to go about making statements like that, and unless you have some valid reason. Oh, I've no doubt you're very upset about your sister's death, but I must advise you that you can only do yourself harm by allowing your feelings to let you make rash statements without proof. I don't see how you can suggest that Mr. Kenton had any connection with the crime when he was sitting in the cinema at the time.
But that's just it. Why would he want to see the film twice in a week?
What's that?
When I spoke to Isabel on Wednesday morning, she told me that Roger had been to the Granada on Tuesday night.
And that was the moment when you began to wonder whether Kenton's alibi was quite as sound as it first appeared.
Yes, sir. Before facing Kenton with this new information, I decided to seek a further interview with Mr. Andrews. He is by profession an insurance agent, and I visited him at the office. I'm sorry to trouble you again, Mr. Andrews, but an investigation like this, well, we've got to be very thorough.
Not at all. In point of fact, if you hadn't come to see me, I would have been in touch with you. You see, I've known Roger Kenton for a number of years, and I handle all his insurance. In relation to the life policies which we have issued, I notified head office of Mrs. Kenton's death, and it was their feeling that I should speak to you.
And why was that?
It's jolly difficult. I know Roger is a bit of a... Well, let's just say that he's been unlucky in the past. But I like him. And I really thought he might settle down and make a go of this antique business.
Mm-hmm.
Right spot, you know.
Yeah, I see.
I'd arranged ordinary insurance cover on the shop, and I also fixed the life policies on himself and Mrs. Kenton. They weren't big, but Roger said that his wife hadn't got much out of him since they'd been married, so she might just as well benefit a little if he died.
Ah.
Then, last Thursday, just before she died, he came in and increased his wife's policy considerably and paid the premium.
Oh, he did he?
That's right. It's one of these policies which can be commuted into a form of annuity at a later date. He said the shop was looking up and that this was one way of seeking a little security for the future.
You said considerably. What, in fact, does this amount to?
Well, at her death, Kenton stands to receive £50,000.
Oh, I see. Now, Mr. Andrews, let us go back to that visit to the cinema. Did you expect to see Mr. Kenton there?
No, but I wasn't surprised. It is the type of film that he likes.
Well, let me ask the question another way. Could he have expected to meet you at the Granada?
I don't think so. No. Wait a minute. Aye, now I come to think of it, he could. When he was here last Thursday, I told him that I was going.
Thank you, Mr. Andrews.
Inspector, you don't think there's something wrong, do you? I mean, I saw him as he went in and then again at the end of the film.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. It's just something I've got to work out. I'll be grateful, by the way, if you didn't mention this conversation to anyone.
You have my word for it.
Think back, if you will, Mr. Andrews, to that meeting at the cinema. Shut your eyes. It sometimes helps to conjure up an image. Can you remember any difference between the appearance of Mr. Kenton before and after the film?
Difference? I don't quite follow. He certainly seemed to be very animated while we were in the pub. He kept on talking about the film. Mind you, it was a good one. But I'm not so devoted to westerns as Roger is. I just like a well-made film.
His appearance.
I'm thinking. You know, Inspector, you're right. Shutting your eyes, I mean. I can see him as clearly as anything. I've got it. I am sure of it. Before the film, he had a raincoat over his arm, and I can't remember seeing him with it afterwards when we were in the pub.
Kenton had no raincoat with him when he arrived home on the night of the murder. And when I questioned him, he reaffirmed his statement regarding his movements on the night of the murder and denied having visited the Granada on the Tuesday. I then asked permission to remove the clothing he had been wearing on the Friday night. He made no objection to me taking his suit and shoes, and the shirt and the underclothing which he had worn had already gone to the laundry.
Then, at a later date, as a result of further investigation into the veracity of his alibi and the report of the police laboratories and the government pathologist, you charged Kenton and took him into custody.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. That is all.
Inspector, is it a habit of yours to ask people to shut their eyes and dream dreams?
Not to dream, sir. Sometimes helps to clarify the memory.
Or to see pictures which you are painting?
No, sir.
Let us consider this alleged missing raincoat. When you examined my client's wardrobe, did it contain a raincoat?
Yes, sir. A brand new one. I asked him about it. Oh, I see. You've got a new raincoat, Kenton.
Yes, I bought it a few days ago.
Why?
Oh, really, Inspector, why does one buy a raincoat? Because it's needed.
What happened to the old one?
I don't remember having mentioned an old one. But in fact, I did have one. It was very old. Proofing had perished, and I threw it away.
It had been raining on the Friday afternoon. Why didn't you take your raincoat to the cinema?
It may have been raining in the afternoon, but it wasn't when I went out. And it didn't look as though there would be any further rain.
A perfectly logical explanation, don't you agree, Inspector?
I did check with the Weather Bureau, and there was no rain in the London area on that day after 4:30 in the afternoon.
Mrs. Kenton was struck down with some instrument. Has the Weather Bureau or any other bureau been able to assist your investigation in finding that instrument or even establishing what that instrument was?
Really, my lord?
I apologize. But the body of the question still stands.
We've been unable to find the weapon used, but in the area there are many places where it could have been disposed of.
Was there a poker in the house?
No, sir. There were no open fires in the house, only electric element heaters.
Any iron bars?
No, sir.
So if it was an instrument such as you describe, it was in all probability brought into the house on the night of the murder for the sole purpose of committing the crime.
It is possible, sir, but it could have been there all the time.
During the period between 7 o'clock and the start of the program at the cinema, was Kenton seen in the foyer, swinging a poker or an iron bar in his hand?
No, sir.
Is it likely that he could have secreted a poker in the pocket of his suit?
Of course not, sir. No one ever suggested that he might have...
Inspector. You have to defend your case, but I must defend my client. No further questions.
I feel that this would be a good opportunity for the court to adjourn.
And we take this opportunity to remind you that this dramatic presentation is brought to you by Bristol Myers. The court is once more in session with leading counsel for the Crown rising to call his next witness.
I call Mrs. Sally Green. Mrs. Green, you're employed as an usherette at the Granada Cinema, Chelsea.
That's right.
One of your duties is to open the exit doors at the end of the performance.
Well, if I'm on late, we take in turns, see? 2 of us in the stalls have to stay on to the end, and the rest can go as soon as the main film starts.
And you were on late shift on the Friday night in question?
Yes. I always work late on Fridays. My old man goes to the dogs at Wimbledon that night, so there's no point in being off early.
The exit beyond the toilets toilets is operated by what is known as a crush bar.
Yes.
This system of fixing means that the doors are opened by pressing a bar on the inner side, but the door can neither be opened nor properly closed from the outside.
That's right.
On this Friday night, did you find the door already open?
Yes.
So you would assume that someone had already left by that exit?
Yes.
Could this have happened at any time during the performance? Or are the doors checked at regular intervals?
Any time, I suppose. We see that the doors are closed before the show starts, but no one bothers to look at them again until we have to open them.
Thank you. That is all.
Mrs. Green, was there any special reason for you to remember that the door was open?
I was asked by the inspector.
Was this the first time that you'd found the door open?
No. No, it happens now and then. Someone doesn't like the film, goes to the toilet, and, well, that's the nearest door to the street.
Was the cinema full?
Well, Friday night was pretty full. It's a busy night anyway, and there was quite a good program.
You work in the stalls. Do you know how many seats there are in the stalls?
Ooh, a lot. About 700.
853 to be exact, and most of them were sold. Any one of some 800 people could have got up and gone out of the exit.
I suppose so, but most of them seem to like the film.
I'm sure they did. No further questions.
I now call Mr. Harold Armitage. Mr. Armitage, you are the brother of the deceased.
Yes, I am.
You made a statement to the police that to the best of your knowledge, the prisoner attended a performance at the Granada Cinema on the Tuesday prior to the death of your sister.
I did.
Had you any reason to suspect that the prisoner might do your sister harm?
Not exactly that, but I knew that there was trouble between them. Isabel came and had lunch with me on Wednesday before the murder. She used to come most Wednesdays. And more coffee, Isabel.
No, thanks, Harold. That was very nice.
How's Roger going with the shop?
Oh, that's going the usual way. Anything he touches goes down. He keeps trying to get me to put more money in it. He says that with more capital, he's sure that he'll be able to bid against the big boys and really get known. But the real answer is that he doesn't know enough about it.
You're right, Isabel. I wouldn't let him have another penny. Uncle George would turn in his grave if you didn't take some care of the money he gave you. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I cannot understand what you see in Roger.
Perhaps you can't, and I'm not going into all that again. It's been quite a few years now, and if you live with someone for some time, you get used to things. Even his liking for those rubbishy westerns. He loves them. He went to the Granada to see one last night. I just stayed home and read a book.
You're too easy with him. Make him take you out more and enjoy yourself. Put your foot down.
Don't worry, Harold. I'm happy enough. But I tell you one thing. Not another penny does he get from me for the shop. Now, let's change the subject. How's Amy doing at the Tech?
So, on oath, you assert that the prisoner had already seen the film he alleges he saw for the first time on the night of the murder, and that there had been money troubles between Kenton and your sister?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Armitage, do you like Roger Kenton? What? I asked you a simple question. Do you like your brother-in-law? Well, I never thought that much of him. I didn't think he was good enough for Isabel. You didn't like him? I thought he was a failure. Successful men do not always make the best husbands. However, let that pass. Mrs. Kenton didn't enjoy Western films. No, they bored her. So she would not necessarily pay much attention to where they were showing. She knew that Roger went to the one at the Granada. Did she know there was also a Western showing at the Forum? She didn't mention it. She said the Granada. But taking so little interest in that kind of film, might not she have assumed it was the one at the Granada? She said the Granada. But isn't it possible? We don't know what is possible, do we? All we do know is that she said the Granada. No further questions.
I now call Dr. Eustace Freeman. Dr. Freeman, as government pathologist, you were called to examine the body of Mrs. Kenton and also various articles of clothing submitted to you by the police.
Yes.
In words that can be readily understood by this court, will you describe what your examinations revealed?
Mrs. Kenton had received a blow on the base of the skull from a heavy rounded object, which must have been approximately 1 inch round in diameter. The blow was delivered with considerable force, and a fracture of the skull resulted. Her left forearm had also sustained a multiple fracture, which would be consistent with a fall down a flight of stairs. But neither of these fractures would necessarily of themselves have resulted in her death. The blow on the skull was severe, and in fact, in a state of unconsciousness, she had literally bled to death. With regard to the clothing, apart from the usual soot and general dirt, which one would expect to find in clothing worn in London, there was evidence of various polishes and varnishes which were consistent with the wearer being occupied in the antique furniture trade.
But no trace of bloodstains?
On the suit, no. With regard to the shoes, although they'd been well polished and even probably washed at a recent date, traces of blood were found embedded in the joint between the sole and the upper of the left shoe.
Was it possible to identify this blood?
It was human blood of the group O.
And Mrs. Kenton's blood?
Group O.
Thank you, Dr. Freeman. That is all.
Dr. Freeman, in your profession and in your position as government pathologist, you are most highly esteemed. In fact, there are those who have voiced the opinion that you are infallible.
That would be a foolish opinion. None of us are infallible.
Thank you, sir. You've saved me asking the question. You can sometimes be mistaken.
Obviously, but as infrequently as human error will allow.
You found no signs of blood on the suit.
I've already stated that.
But slight traces on just one of the shoes.
Yes.
Having regard to the manner of the assault, would you not have expected to find more blood on the shoes and at least some signs on the suit?
If the suit and the shoes had been worn at the time of the assault, possibly.
Ah.
But I've never been told as fact that the suit and shoes were worn at the time. And even if the suit had been worn, it might have been protected by some outer covering.
And the shoes?
They'd been cleaned, and traces of blood are much more readily removed from highly polished leather than from a fabric.
The blood found was of group O. Is this a very common blood group?
Yes.
Would it interest you to know that the prisoner is also of the same group?
It wouldn't interest me in the very least. I've said it's a very common group.
But your evidence would tend to imply that the blood found on the shoe came from Mrs. Kenton.
What you imply from my evidence is of no concern to me. I've been asked to state what I found on examination of various objects, and that is what I've done. The conclusions are for the court to decide.
No one was present except the murderer when Mrs. Kenton was struck down. No witness can step forward and point an accusing finger and say, that man is guilty. But a chain of events has been related that can leave no doubt. Why was this crime committed? Simply for financial gain. We have heard of a loving wife who has for years overlooked the failings in the man she loved. A wife who had nurtured and supported him, who had financed projects in which her faith was doubtful due to the ineptitude of her husband. We have heard how at last she cried a halt until some signs of actual ability and success were shown. This cry of halt was but a spur to the prisoner to take matters into his own hands. Is it possible to believe his explanation of why the life insurance was so suddenly and greatly increased? And as to the commission of the crime, the prisoner at first supplies an alibi which would seem complete. But you have heard how, in fact, it is no alibi at all. There was the means and ample time for him to have left the cinema and returned between his first and second meetings with Mr. Andrews. You have heard how simple it was for him to have discussed the film on that Friday night, for he had already viewed the program on the previous Tuesday. You have heard of the disappearing raincoat. No wonder a new one was purchased and the old one thrown away, when in all probability it was covered in his wife's blood. Blood which you have heard in the medical evidence was found on his shoe and could have come from nowhere but from the murdered woman. The chain of events is complete, and nothing remains for you but to point your finger at the prisoner and speak the one word, guilty.
My lord, gentlemen of the jury, you, like myself, must have sat patiently throughout this trial, waiting for the Crown to present one shred of evidence which might justify my client being in the position in which he finds himself today. But all that we've been subjected to is a series of theories and surmises. Possibly there had been a discussion over money matters, but this is a common occurrence in many families. And of the murder, what vestige of proof has the Crown provided to link it with the accused? A missing raincoat? By an unfortunate coincidence, the new one had been purchased but a few days before the murder. A story that the film had been seen before. It is impossible to remove the doubt that Mrs. Kenton had been mistaken. The evidence of the blood on the shoe, the pathologist himself stated that he drew no conclusions, simply stated what he had found. Kenton's blood is of the same group and could at any time have found its way into the crack from a cut finger. I submit that there is no case to answer.
Well, you have heard all the relevant facts. Would you say that Roger Kenton is guilty or not guilty of the murder of his wife? In a few moments, we'll bring you the verdict recorded in the actual trial upon which this dramatic presentation is based.
Silence in court. Gentlemen of the jury, have you arrived at a true and just verdict? We have, my lord. We find the prisoner at the bar guilty of murder.
Now, look, Sergeant Longworth, you're a friend of this Bob Greenley. Tell him to stay away from my daughter. He's not in love with Beryl.
In the first place, Mrs. Harris, Bob Greenley doesn't happen to be any particular friend of mine. We just belong to the same club, that's all. In the second place, I think you're being a bit unfair to your daughter. And in the third place, it's got nothing to do with me.
Hasn't it? After all, you belong to the CID, don't you?
Don't tell me you want to bring police proceedings against him.
I know that my daughter is besotted with the man. She won't listen to reason. A married man with 3 children. No, my only hope's to get this fellow Greenley to leave my daughter alone. If he doesn't, I'll kill him, even if I have to swing for it.
It's time for you to take your place on the jury as Bristol Myers, makers of the Mum range of deodorants, Clairol hair care products, and Ipana toothpaste, invite you to... consider your verdict.
My lord, the gentlemen of the jury, it is common cause that 52-year-old Robert Greenley was found dead lying in a ditch one early winter's morning on December the 21st last year. That is 1967. It is equally common cause that the inquest returned the verdict of death by misadventure, that he had been knocked down by an unknown motorist who failed to stop to render assistance to his victim. This, my lord, gentlemen of the jury, suggested that some hit-and-run driver was responsible for an accident which caused the death of Greenley. It may well be that had the prisoner at the bar's daughter been prepared to accept the killing of the man she loved, justice would have been defeated, and her mother, Rosa Harris, might never have been called to the bar of justice. I do not wish to anticipate the line which the defense will take. Certain I am you will be subjected to an impassioned peroration as to the duty of a mother to protect her young. For that, my lord, gentlemen of the jury, was the motive for this man's murder, and no self-respecting citizen can condone the illegal taking of human life. It is on that note I will call my first witness, the prisoner's own daughter, Beryl Harris. Miss Harris, it was you that visited Sergeant Longworth at the Buxton police station and declared that the death of your friend was not the result of an accident, but the deliberate act on the part of your mother.
Yes, it's true. Mummy killed him. She said she would. You wicked, wicked girl. It's true. It's all lies. They're not lies. You knocked him down and killed him.
Silence! Silence in court.
Yes, Judge, presiding over the proceedings. It is my duty to see that the evidence is led in a calm and dignified manner. And the prisoner at the bar must be under great stress. By the same token, it is a unique experience for me, as judge of many years' standing, to listen to a Crown witness who is a daughter of the accused. All murder trials contain an atmosphere charged with emotion. It is impossible for me to expect for this situation to induce a calmness and objectivity. Nevertheless, prisoner will restrain herself as best she can in the knowledge that she has an eminent jurist to safeguard her interest. Counsel may proceed.
Thank you, my lord. Miss Harris, I want you to tell the court what happened on the evening of the 21st of December last year. Of course, the information we seek deals with the events which you feel relate to the death of your friend.
He was more than my friend. We were going to get married.
Now, Miss Harris, there was an office party, was there not?
Yes. Bob and I worked for Seaton & Co. They're printers in High Street. Mr. Seaton had made his speech and gave out the Christmas bonuses. And we were all breaking up for the annual Christmas holiday when Mummy arrived.
Well, the boss has done his stuff. We don't have to stay. Come on, I'll take you home. Gary, we can catch the 7 o'clock bus.
All right. We better stay to say goodbye to Mr. Seaton.
Oh, no. Don't look now. But the tigress has arrived to protect her young.
What you... Oh, Mother, what are you doing here?
What do I look as though I'm doing? I've come to take you home.
Mummy, you shouldn't have.
Why not? Have you become ashamed of your mother?
Be silly. It's just that it wasn't necessary. Bob would have...
Bob would have what? Mr. Greenley, I understand that you've persuaded my daughter to accompany you on some sort of weekend over Christmas.
It's all perfectly respectable, I assure you, Mrs. Harris.
I've warned you enough time. Keep away from my daughter.
Mummy!
Oh, look, Mrs. Harris, it's near Christmas time. Peace, goodwill, and all that. I love Beryl.
Indeed. So my daughter tells me. And what about your wife and 3 children? Have you enough love left for them?
Please, Mummy, not here.
Oh, and why not? Frankly, I've come to speak to Mr. Seaton. If I can't persuade you to leave my daughter alone...
You're too late. Mr. Seaton's made his speech and he's gone.
Are you coming with me or are you not?
Well, look, you may as well, Beryl. You know, I've got to attend the annual general meeting of the Printers and Kindred Trades Association tonight.
What time will it finish?
Oh, about 10. There's no point in us catching a bus now. You might as well go home with your mother.
How kind of you. Now, look here, Bob.
All right,
Greenley.
Mother, let's go. You've humiliated me enough. Mother and I left.
And your mother drove you home. That is to the Buxton Spa Arms.
Yes. We live above the premises.
I see. Thank you. Now, this is important. Your evidence clearly indicates that your mother was fully aware of the movements of the late Robert Greenley on the evening of the 21st of December, 1967. You heard him tell her that he was going to this meeting, which would continue till 10 p.m.
Yes.
Had your mother made threats against the life of Greenley?
Frequently.
How dare you say such a thing? It isn't true, my love. It isn't true.
The court will establish the veracity of your daughter's testimony. I have already made it clear that you must contain yourself. You will have every opportunity to rebut your daughter's testimony.
I'm sorry, my love.
Your mother has just expressed her indignation at your statement that she threatened the life of the now dead man. Can you remember when she last uttered such a threat?
Yes. It was less than a week before he was killed. It was about 9 o'clock at night. And because it was busy in the bar, I was helping Mummy out.
And gins to Joe. He's certainly got his hands full tonight.
All right, Mummy. Joe, here are the gins for that table over there.
Thanks, Miss Beryl.
Oh, that nice couple, the Medcars, have just come in. Over there, see, in the private bar. They've asked us to spend Christmas Eve with them.
Oh, I hope they didn't accept. On my behalf, I mean.
Well, of course I did, dear.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mummy. I should have told you sooner. I'm going away for Christmas.
Oh, charming. And leaving your mother to...
Oh, Mummy, not now. Let's not argue.
You mean you're going with Greenley?
Yes.
My child, there's a name for women who take husbands away from their wives and children.
Oh, please, Mummy, don't be so old-fashioned.
What
Bob and Joyce haven't had anything to do with each other for ages. Besides, as soon as his divorce comes through, we're going to get married.
He'll never live to get his divorce. Dirty, rotten swine. If he must be unfaithful to his wife, why doesn't he go off with someone his own age?
Don't raise your voice, Mummy. People are looking at you.
Who's going to pay for the Christmas holiday? You? He hasn't got 2 pennies to scratch himself
I don't have to listen to this. I'm going.
You're not going anywhere. I'm not going to let this man ruin my daughter's life. I'll kill him first, you hear? I'll kill him.
I didn't think Mummy meant it. Otherwise, I'd rather have given him up than this terrible thing should have happened to him.
Now, Miss Harris, let us return to the fated night. Your mother drove you in her car back to the Buxton Spa Arms.
Yes.
And then what happened?
There was the usual quarrelling. Mummy telling me that I must give him up. That all he was after was her money. I was so upset I didn't want any supper. I went to bed. I couldn't sleep with all the noise in the pub, so I got dressed again. I thought I'd go down to the saloon bar and have a snack.
Now, just a moment, Miss Harris. What time was this?
It was about 9:45.
How do you know this?
Well, when I got into the bar, I looked at the clock.
Was your mother in the bar?
No.
Were you surprised?
Yes, very. I asked Joe, the barman. Joe said that Mummy had gone down to post a letter.
Please go on.
I stayed in the bar for about 20 minutes. Then I thought I couldn't face another scene with Mummy that night, so I went back to bed. I heard her car drive into the garage about 10:15.
Would you repeat that, please? You heard your mother drive into the garage at about 10:15 on the evening of December the 21st last year.
Yes, I did.
When did you learn of your friend's death?
The following day, when Sergeant Longworth came in the bar to tell us that they found Bob's body lying in the ditch. I had a feeling that Mummy had something to do with it. And when I attended the inquest and heard all the medical evidence, how there were signs on the road that he'd been dragged into the ditch, I knew then that my mother had killed the man I loved. I also knew that I had to tell the police.
Thank you, Miss Harris. No more questions.
Miss Harris, you say that you also knew you had to tell the police.
Yes.
What had you to tell the police?
I don't understand.
I'll try and make it a little more simple for you, young lady. It was you that was directly responsible for the arrest and the charge of murder preferred against your mother. Well, were you or were you not?
If my mother killed Bob...
Do I detect a change of tone? Am I to understand that you're using the word if, that you now have some doubt? I see you do not wish to answer. Miss Harris, do you feel that you have vouchsafed information to the police that otherwise would never have achieved the light of day? In other words, Miss Harris, did you rush along to get your mother labeled as a murderess in case they missed something?
If you want to put it that way, yes.
Your loyalty as a daughter is most touching, Miss Harris.
What about my loyalty to the man I loved?
The man you loved, indeed. How old are you, Miss Harris?
21.
And the late Robert Greenley?
52.
And you think it shocking that your mother should attempt to prevent an alliance between you?
That's got nothing to do with it.
We shall see about that. Miss Harris, there was only one way for Greenley to get his divorce from his wife, and that was to persuade the unfortunate Mrs. Greenley to divorce him on grounds of infidelity. Is that true or not?
Yes, but we...
For her to prove that her husband had committed adultery with you, a 21-year-old girl.
No. Oh, you mustn't talk to my daughter like that. She didn't. She's been foolish, but she wouldn't do anything wicked.
My lord, it is rare for a defense counsel to seek protection from his client. But I would ask this court to restrain the prisoner at the bar. My cross-examination of her daughter is vital and necessary part of the defense.
I'd rather be hanged at the gallows than anyone suggest my Beryl's moral.
I simply cannot have this. Unusual as the case may be, I would like to see both leading counsels in my chamber.
Immediately, my lord?
Immediately.
As your lordship pleases.
And so the trial of Rosa Harris is halted. Leading counsel for the Crown and the defense make their way to the judge's chambers. During this recess, we should like to remind you that this dramatic presentation is brought to you by Bristol Myers. The judge presiding over the trial of Rosa Harris for the murder of Robert Greenley has conferred with both counsel.
The prisoner at the bar has been told that she will have every opportunity to protest her innocence and has promised to abstain from further interjection. Defense counsel continues with the cross-examination.
Do you think that your mother loves you, Miss Harris?
I think she was more jealous than loving. She was jealous and possessive.
You mean she wouldn't allow you to lead your own life?
Yes.
Do you remember your father?
How could I? He was killed by a landmine while he was still in the army.
In fact, he was killed some 4 weeks before you were born.
Yes.
And so your mother brought you up. Worked to feed, clothe, and educate you.
Well, I was her daughter, wasn't I?
That's, Miss Harris, I find difficult to believe. Now, your mother has stated publicly she would kill Greenlee rather than let him destroy your life. Do you think she meant that figuratively?
Oh, she said it, didn't she?
May I say to you, Miss Harris, that in a long and checkered career, I too have said that I would rather kill someone than witness a certain course of action. But I'm no murderer, I assure you.
You can say what you like. Bob was murdered, and the only person who wanted him dead was my mother.
I don't think there's any point in cross-examining you further. You may go.
I now call Detective Sergeant Mark Longworth. Sergeant Longworth, when did you hear of the death of Robert Greenlee?
At approximately 9:10 a.m. on the morning of December the 22nd, I picked up Dr. Wrigley and we drove through Cleveland Lane. Sure enough, lying in a ditch was someone I knew very well, Bob Greenlee. I took a statement from Mr. Burrows, the postman. He had been delivering letters and saw the body as he was cycling down the lane. Dr. Wrigley said that the man had been dead for over 12 hours. And then I noticed something strange. You see, although it was very cold, there hadn't been any rain for over 24 hours. There were distinct marks of the dead man's body having been dragged from the side of the road into the ditch. What is more, there were specks of blood confirming this. An examination of the back of the man's heels revealed dirt from the road.
And what did you conclude from this?
That he had been knocked down by a motor car and then dragged into the ditch.
Why motor car in particular?
Whoever had done this thing actually ran over the man. There was a tire track spreading diagonally across the back of the jacket he was wearing.
So it wasn't just a hit-and-run driver, but a driver who hit, ran over his victim, and then dragged the body into the ditch?
Yes, sir.
Carry on.
Well, sir, the tire mark on the jacket, as well as on the road, gave us clear indication as to the size and make of the tire. It was a Forsyth 252 tire.
There's no question of this?
None at all.
Carry on, please.
Well, sir, on the basis of the clues in our possession, we sent out a circular asking all garages to notify the police should any car containing Forsyth 252 tires arrive for repairs. In this, we were unsuccessful. At that time, we had no indication that Greenlee was a victim of a premeditated murder. As the result of a visit by Miss Beryl Harris and her signed statement, as well as a statement made to me by the prisoner some weeks before Greenlee's death, I decided to question Mrs. Harris. Mrs. Harris, Robert Greenlee was killed as he was walking home from a Printers Association meeting. Now, that meant walking along Cleveland Lane.
What's that got to do with me?
Did you know that Greenlee would be walking along that lane at that time of night on that particular evening?
No, of course not. Look here, are you suggesting
It's not what I'm suggesting, Mrs. Harris. It's what has happened. Someone knocked Greenlee down. It was pretty vicious. Having knocked him down, they ran their car over him and then shoved him in a ditch. Now, you say you didn't know he was going to be walking along that particular thoroughfare on the evening of the 21st of December last year. But your daughter says you did know, and she also
Never mind what my daughter says. That horrible man has bewitched her. She'll say anything.
I might as well tell you I've had a look in your garage. I see that you use Forsyth 252 tires.
Well?
Well, Mrs. Harris, the man who drove that car, or the woman who drove that car...
I've had enough. Mark Longworth, if you're trying to tell me that I killed this wretched man, you must be out of your mind.
I see you've got a dent in the near side mudguard. How did that happen?
Not by knocking down Greenlee. I skidded and hit a tree about 3 weeks ago.
Supposing I tell you that your daughter said...
Never mind what my daughter says. I'm neither a liar nor a murderer. Oh, to think that my baby, the flesh of my flesh, should say such things about me.
What were you doing on the evening of the 21st?
Working in the bar. You know as well as I do, Mark Longworth, what I was doing on the 21st. You yourself came in for a drink that evening.
That was about 8:30. Your barman tells me that you left just before closing time.
I went to post a letter.
Did you take the car?
No, I didn't.
Supposing I tell you that your daughter heard the car return.
Then all I can say is that she dreamt it.
Aren't you glad he's dead? After all, you told me that if Bob Greenley didn't leave your daughter alone, you'd kill him. Don't you remember that?
Of course I remember it. I wanted to frighten him away. Oh, Mark, you know I wouldn't do a thing like that.
I found her answers unsatisfactory, swore out a warrant for Mrs. Harris's arrest, and pulled her in.
Thank you. That is all.
Sergeant Longworth, take a look at that table. That's the mudguard, isn't it? You've examined it. You know it does belong to my client's car?
Yes.
The defense brought this mudguard to court. Why didn't you?
Objection, my lord. Witness is not responsible for the conduct of the prosecution of this case.
Really, Mr. Mortimer, you should know better. I suspect that you do. Please look to your line of cross-examination.
With respect, my lord, there is not a tittle of evidence against my client other than the statements made by her daughter and the witness. Since this witness has chosen to place emphasis on the significance of the dent in the mudguard, I would have thought that somebody would want to impress the jury with this vital exhibit.
Nevertheless, you know only too well that the sergeant in charge of the investigation has little or no influence on the conduct or method the prosecution is to employ.
I stand rebuked, my lord. May I humbly crave your lordship's permission to show this mudguard to the jury?
Permission is granted, but I will not be subjected to any impertinence. You are bordering on contempt.
In which case, I apologize, my lord.
Show it to the jury.
Pass this around, will you? Gentlemen of the jury, you will observe that this indenture has not broken the enamel. Therefore, there is no rust, and because there is no rust, it is impossible to determine whether the mudguard was injured a week, 2 weeks, or even a year ago. You will observe that it is less than 6 inches in length, and at its widest point, no more than 3 inches laterally and ½ an inch in depth. Remember that the car that struck this man must have been going at a terrific speed to have knocked him down and killed him. Remember also that the nature and size of this dent in the mudguard is of such insignificance as to have been unnoticed unless it had been pointed out. Now, Sergeant, my client denies using her car that evening. The Buxton Spa Hotel is on the main high street. It is possible for Miss Harris to have been mistaken, that some other car might have driven and stopped nearby the public house.
I don't think so. It's strange to me that no one had noticed the dent in the mudguard before.
Yes, Sergeant, I would remind you that Miss Harris was arrested 3 days after the inquest, 10 days after the finding of the body. Neither you nor anyone else had commented on the injury to the car. That is all.
That concludes the case for the Crown, my lord.
Does defense wish to call any witnesses?
Only one witness, my lord. The prisoner herself, Rosa Harris. Mrs. Harris, did you threaten the life of Robert Greenley?
I may have done. I wondered where I went wrong, that my baby should imagine she was in love with... Oh, a chancer like that.
Why did you tell Sergeant Longworth you had no idea that Greenley would be walking down Cleveland Lane that evening when he was knocked down and fatally injured by a motor car?
Oh, do you think I remembered or cared what he said when I called to fetch my baby from the firm's Christmas party? Do you think I plotted to do a dreadful thing that... Oh, it isn't true. It isn't true.
I am convinced that it isn't. Thank you, Mrs. Harris.
And I'm convinced it is true. Who else wanted Greenley out of the way?
I wanted him out of the way, but I didn't murder him.
I submit you did. I submit you were so desperate to save your daughter from this man that you decided to take your car out of the garage, wait for him in the knowledge that he would be walking along Cleveland Lane, and then accelerated at great speed with the deliberate intention of causing his death.
No, it isn't true.
I suggest that in your desperation you lost all sense of proportion, that you were determined to carry out the threats you have frequently made. I'm sorry for you, Mrs. Harris. Sorry for your diseased mind. Diseased, but not insane. Sorry for the fact that your hate for Greenley turned you into a killer. Would an ordinary hit-and-run driver pause to get out of his car in order to drag the unfortunate Greenley into a ditch? Are we to ignore the threats that the prisoner admits making against Greenley's life? Are we to disbelieve her own daughter's testimony? Of course not. Mercy we cannot help feeling for the prisoner at the bar. But mercy must be tempered with justice. And because of this, you cannot help but find Rosa Harris guilty of murder.
It is not my client who possesses the deceased mind, but her daughter. I suggest, my lord, gentlemen of the jury, that this poor, unfortunate young girl has become so obsessed by Greenley as to lose all sense of love and loyalty for her mother, all sense of decency and proportion, and because of this, her evidence has become distorted, colored to the point where it cannot be believed. I am not asking for mercy. I am asking for a verdict in accordance with the evidence you have heard and in accordance with the laws of this country. You have seen Rosa Harris, watched her anguished expression as her daughter sought to defame her mother's character. This woman is not entitled to mercy, for that suggests guilt, and she is not guilty. As true as there's a heaven above, you will be committing a crime against civilization if you bring in a verdict of conviction.
Well, you have heard all the relevant facts in the case. Would you say that Rosa Harris was guilty or not guilty of the murder of Robert Greenley? In just a moment, we will bring you the verdict recorded in the actual trial upon which this dramatic presentation is based.
Silence in court. Silence. Gentlemen of the jury, have you arrived at a true and just verdict?
We have, my lord. We find the prisoner at the bar, Rosa Harris, not guilty of murder.
Bristol Myers, makers of the Mum range of deodorants, Clairol hair care products, and Ipana toothpaste, hope you enjoyed tonight's presentation of Consider Your Verdict, produced by Michael Silver. On Friday evening at 8:30, you're invited to listen to Medical File, another great dramatic series also brought to you by Bristol Myers. So goodbye until next Tuesday, when it will be time once again to take your place on the jury of Consider Your Verdict.
Springbok Radio it is, and in a few moments you'll be able to hear General Motors on.
Harry!
Oh, yes, Albert?
It's no good you standing there. Go on, get busy. We haven't got all day. You don't think I'm going to clean the blooming up myself, do you?
All right. Keep your hair on. Just testing a cradle.
Well, hurry up! Keep your hair on, cheeky little swine. Whatever she says, he's going. I'm not going to be the laughing stock of the neighbourhood. God, the muck they get on these winters is past belief. Haven't you started yet?
I've got to make sure the hooks are on properly. I suppose it would please you if the cradle slipped and I went hurling down below, wouldn't it?
It'd be no loss to...
It's time for you to take your place on the jury as Bristol Myers, makers of new Vote toothpaste, invite you to Consider Your Verdict.
My lord, gentlemen of the jury, the woman you see in the dock hardly appears to be the type of person who would plan to destroy the life of her husband. Yet it is our submission that that is precisely what she did do. Although she failed in her ultimate object, the results of a diabolical act will be seen when we call upon her unfortunate husband to testify. Look at the benign appearance of the prisoner with her grey hair, twinkling blue eyes,
fresh complexion. And then you'll ask yourselves, is it possible that this woman, Phyllis Mullins, could cause her husband to become crippled for life? A paraplegic whose broken spine means that he will need constant attendance for as long as he lives? You, sitting there, whose onerous task it will be to pass verdict on this woman, will seek from the Crown a justification for this charge of attempted murder. Will want to know whether Mrs. Mullins had motive, opportunity. The answer is yes. Motive. You will hear evidence that this middle-aged woman was so besotted, so infatuated with a 28-year-old assistant of her husband's that she attempted to do away with what she considered the one obstacle acting as an impediment, Albert Mullins. Incredible, you might say. No, gentlemen of the jury. A glance through the records of these courts, and page after page will tell of the desperate lengths resorted to by middle-aged and elderly women in order to satisfy their lust for men much younger than themselves. It is common cause that on January the 27th, 1968, Mr. Albert Mullins, who owns a window-cleaning business, was engaged in cleaning the windows of a block of offices situated at Montrose Street in the town of Guildford.
Blimey, look at this roof. You finished the junkyard.
Never mind that. Get all those grappling irons. I want to finish this lot today.
Oh, we'll finish it, but you don't have to go on riding me all the time. I've told you it ain't true what Fred Dye said in the front.
True or not, you watch your step, young man. Sure she's firmly fixed to that grating?
Yeah, that's it. She'll have all right. Give your hand over.
Righto. Now the pail. Hey, careful, don't tip the water.
Here are the cloths.
Right. Right, now you go over there and start on that lot. I'll fix the cradle.
All right.
However, the windows of the top story of Majestic Building were not destined to be cleaned that morning. For as Mr. Mullins went about his task of washing the first window, the rope holding the cradle upon which he was standing snapped, and the unfortunate window cleaner was sent hurtling to the pavement below. You will hear medical evidence that will say that Albert Mullins' injuries were so severe as to make his present existence on earth almost a miracle. Miracle or not, this unfortunate gentleman, innocent of all wrongdoings, a decent, hard-working artisan, will suffer pain, discomfort, and an incapacity to do the things that normal human beings can do without any hope of recovery. With the court permission, we shall hear Albert Mullins' own story as he's wheeled into the courtroom. Mr. Mullins, it was made clear to you that no one can force you to give evidence against your wife.
I want to give evidence. I want her to suffer as I've been made to suffer.
I wouldn't do it, Albert. Honest, I didn't.
Don't give me that.
Silence in court!
This trial will be conducted in an atmosphere that is expected of a British court of law. The solemnity of the proceedings will be respected by all participants. Now you, madam, being indicted on this terrible charge, will be given full opportunity to protest and to demonstrate your innocence. And I do not wish to hear any further outbursts from any quarter.
My client is somewhat overwrought, my lord. I apologize on her behalf.
My lord, let us not pursue this matter any further. The matter is considered closed. Are you in a position to conduct your examination, Mr. Heathcliff?
I am, my lord.
Good. And you, Mr. Mullins? Are you sufficiently comfortable to be able to withstand the rigors of examination?
I'm all right, my lord.
Oh, then please let the trial proceed without let or hindrance.
As you know, please it. Mr. Mullins, I want to refer to that terrible morning. I know you've been asked these questions many times, but it is necessary for you to reply to them again for the benefit of the jury. Now, will you explain the procedure when you set off to commence your duties? You were commissioned to clean the windows of a building known as the Majestic.
Yes.
What happened? I assume that you get all your paraphernalia ready beforehand.
That's right. Well, my assistant comes round.
By assistant, You're referring to someone named Harry Sneesby?
Yes, that's right.
Carry on, please.
Well, young Harry usually calls round about 8:30 in the morning, and we loads up the tackle and goes off on the job.
You say load up the tackle. By that you mean ropes, pulleys, cradles, ladders, and so on?
That's right, sir.
Cleaning the top windows of Majestic Building would mean that you were working many feet above the pavement.
Oh, yes, the building's 12 stories high.
Therefore, safety must be an important consideration in your preparations.
Well, very much so.
When do you test your equipment? On the job, as it were, or before you depart?
I always do it at night. Saves time in the morning.
Where?
Well, I keep my equipment in my garage. It's been specially built to keep the station wagon, the ladders, the lot.
And ropes?
Yes, sir, and the ropes.
Thank you. Now, sir, you met with your terrible mishap on the morning of January the 27th, is that right?
That's right, sir.
When did you test your equipment, especially your ropes?
The night before.
You sure about this?
Oh, I'm positive.
You examined and tested the ropes thoroughly?
Thoroughly. There was nothing wrong with those ropes when I tested them. I always get everything ready after supper. Means there's no time wasted in the mornings.
All this tackle on view here in the court belongs to you. You were given an opportunity to examine the exhibits before they were brought into court?
Yes.
Hand over that rope, please.
Thank you.
Now, Mr. Mullins, this is a section of the rope that snapped. You know that it was cut in two and then joined together by insulating tape on which were glued strands of rope.
Unbelievable, isn't it? They showed me the rope when I was in hospital.
Such camouflage must have taken quite a considerable time. Now, Mr. Mullins, you're absolutely certain that when you prepared your material to load onto your van the following morning, all the ropes were in good order?
I'm certain of it.
I want to refer to the night, or rather the early morning of January the 27th, 1968. You were awakened, were you not?
Yes, I heard a strange noise in the backyard. And then I noticed that my missus wasn't in bed. What on earth's that? You awake, love? Eh? Well, that's funny.
Who's there? Oh, it's you. What on earth are you doing down there? Sleepwalking or something?
Oh, it's all right, dear. Go back to bed. I thought I heard somebody trying to get at the van.
Come back up, you'll catch a death of cold. Then why didn't you wake me?
Won't you? I'm restoring fit to wake the neighbourhood.
Got back into the bedroom. I asked the missus if there were signs of anyone trying to break in, and she said no. It must have been a cat or a dog. Upset the dustbin lid.
Thank you. What happened just prior to the rope snapping? There were cradles, were there not?
Yes, sir. You see, we took all our stuff up to the roof, and then Harry Sneesby and me, we fixed the two cradles to do the top floor windows first. We sits on them cradles, then we lets ourselves down to the next floor with a kind of pulley. Well, I hadn't been cleaning more than a few seconds before... Well, I had a sensation of falling, and I didn't remember anything else. When I came to, they told me I'd been in hospital 5 days, and that my spinal cord was damaged. 75 fractures I had.
Terrifying experience, Mr. Mullins. Now, may we go back to the day when you were made aware of the gossip concerning your wife and Harry Sneesby? You were in a public house, were you not?
Yes, I'd called in at the Surrey Arms. A fellow that runs it's a great pal of mine. There was nobody in the bar except the two of us, and he says to me...
Oh, but look, I know you're going to tell me to mind my own business. I mean, you might even want to punch me on the nose, but...
Oh, what's the matter with you? You've been drinking all your profits away, Fred?
No, I'm sober, Albert. Look, I talked it over with the missus. She says I'm a fool to interfere.
Huh?
Oh, you and I have been friends for far too long. I can't stand all this sniggering and laughing at you behind your back.
What are you trying to say?
Harry Sneesby.
Why should people laugh at me because of Harry Sneesby?
Phyllis?
Phyllis? Oh, no. She's old enough to be his mother.
Look, I'm going to give it to you straight, Albert. Look, I don't blame the boy. But you should watch her when you're not around.
Not around?
While you were away at Liverpool, there was in here every night.
Well, I know that. Phyllis told me. Well, I mean to say...
Look, you're not trying to tell me that while I was in Liverpool attending to our mother's funeral and things... Oh, no, I can't believe it.
Look, it wasn't only then. I mean, how about the number of times he's taken her to the cinema and things?
But it was at my suggestion. You know I don't like going to the pictures. And he, living alone as he does... Fred, if you weren't my pal, I'd...
What, hit me over the head with a beer bottle? Tell me to mind my own business? Why don't you ask Phyllis?
All right. I will. I wish you hadn't said this, Fred. I don't believe it. I wish you hadn't said it. Rotten lot of gossipers. That's what they are, all of them. And did you discuss it with your wife? Yes. I told her that Guildford was filled with a lot of old washerwomen of both sexes, and that she had to be careful the way she acted towards Addie. I didn't want to be made a laughing stock.
Laughing stock? Albert Mullins, if you're going to listen to a lot of tittle-tattle...
I can't help it, can I?
Oh, you don't know how different things have been since Addie went to work for you. I love that boy. He's like the son we never had. And I'm not going to let a lot of nosy Parkers spoil things for us. You ought to know better listening to such tales. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Well, I was ashamed a bit. She made me promise not to say anything to Addie. But I had to break my promise because he spoke to me. Said he was going to leave. I was talking to Fred in the pub when he came in.
Pint of mile, please, Fred.
Pint, right?
I want to see her at 8 o'clock tomorrow.
8 o'clock, Harry? Means we have to make an early start. You know, we've got that contract for the town hall. We need extra help next month.
Easy, man.
Thanks. I wasn't going to mention it this evening, but I won't be here next month.
Eh?
I was going to give him a notice tomorrow. I decided to go back to London to work.
Well, you know best, but why? Aren't you happy with your wages?
Mrs. Mullins told me what you said. Told me what Fred said, too.
She's not going to like it. She'll say that...
Never mind what Phyllis will say. You're doing the right thing, Harry.
I don't know what it's got to do with you. See you tomorrow.
He drained his drink and walked out. And then what happened? Well, my missus hit the roof. I then asked him if he wouldn't change his mind. He said, all right, he'd stay on. Thank you. No more questions. My lord, Mr. Mullins' nurse is making signs that it's time for him to receive his injection. May this be effected before cross-examination?
The judge agrees to a halt in the proceedings while the prosecution's chief witness receives medical attention. A dramatic moment in this trial in which Mrs. Phyllis Mullins is charged with attempted murder and causing bodily injury to her husband. We take this opportunity to remind you that Consider Your Verdict is brought to you by Bristol Myers. And now, back to the courtroom. Mr. Albert Mullins has returned in his wheelchair, which is placed next to the witness stand. Defense counsel rises to cross-examine. Mr. Mullins, how long have you been married?
We was married on the 3rd of April, 1942, just before I went in the army.
Thank you. That means you've been married for 27 years.
That's right.
Have you ever doubted your wife's loyalty and fidelity?
No.
Never? Not even when your friend the publican pointed out that you, your wife, and my client were subjects of malicious gossip?
No, never.
Somebody cut that rope and camouflaged it so that it appeared intact when you placed it in the van. Can you really, in your heart of hearts, see your wife acting so fiendishly?
I don't know. It's all so confusing.
Mr. Mullins, your window washing material was kept in the garage alongside your van, correct?
Correct.
And was the garage door locked?
No.
So anybody could have entered your garage and tampered with the rope?
I suppose so.
Your wife readily admitted she had developed a love for the man who came to work as your assistant. That he took the place of the son you both wanted but never had.
Yes.
Can you see your wife indulging in a carnal relationship with this 28-year-old, someone nearly half her age? An unfair question. Let me carry on. Mr. Mullins, until the police came to visit you in hospital, did you think for one single second that your wife had planned your death?
No. When they came and told me their suspicions...
Their suspicions, not yours, Mr. Mullins.
Yes.
Mr. Mullins, I won't prolong your ordeal any further. That is all.
I now call Mr. Harold Sneesby. Mr. Sneesby, were you having an affair with the prisoner at the bar? Well, sir, were you?
I wouldn't call it an affair, no.
What would you describe it as?
Well, sir, at first I thought it was a bit of a laugh. You know, she began to mother me like. Where's the governor?
He won't be long, dear. He's just gone up the road to get some baccy. He said for you to wait. Sit down here, dear.
Oh, thanks.
He won't be back for about half an hour, because he said he was looking in at the Surrey Arms. He said you could join him there if you like. But, this is the first time I've had an opportunity of having a proper chat, like. Oh, you know, you're so like my nephew Cecil that was killed in the war. Oh, dear.
What is it, Mrs. Mullins?
You've got stains all down your tie. Now, you take it off, and I'll see if I can get them out for you. Haven't you got any parents, brothers or sisters?
Oh, yeah, but I left home as soon as I could.
Don't you get on together?
Well, it's not that. It's just that I like my independence.
Oh, of course. I can see you're a young man with spirit. Well, I'm sure you're going to be happy working for Albert. And I want you to look on me as... Well, just regard this home as your own.
Well, sir, as I say, well, it was useful to have someone to look after your laundry and darn your socks, that sort of thing, so I began to chat her up, like.
Chat her up? What do you mean by that?
Well, pretend I thought, I used to compliment her when she came from the hairdressers, that sort of thing. But I never dreamt...
Just a moment, Mr. Sneesby, I'm coming to that. When did you first realise that your relationship with Mrs. Mullins was a subject for local gossip?
Oh, it was about a fortnight before the accident. You see, Mr. Mullins had gone to give a quotation for some window cleaning and Phyllis invited me in for some tea.
Another cup, dear?
No, thank you, Mrs. Mullins.
Oh, now what's this? You've not been listening to all that gossip, have you? Mrs. Mullins, indeed.
What do you mean, gossip?
Oh, we've been calling each other Phyllis and Harry for months now. Who's been talking to you? Has Albert?
Talking to me? Well, it didn't just seem right calling you Phyllis in your own house, like.
Oh, now, Harry, dear. We mustn't keep secrets from each other, must we? I suppose it's that rotten Fred Barnes. He's mind his own business. All he's done is upset Albert. Oh, but you don't need to worry, dear. I've been able to hide our true feelings for each other. Albert doesn't suspect a thing.
Oh, what's there to suspect? Oh, listen, Mrs. Mullins, Phyllis, you can't mean... it's crazy. You're a married woman.
I respect your principles, really I do. But I know what a battle it's been for you, for both of us. No, don't say anything. Tell me this. If I were free, would you want me for your very own?
But you're not... I must go. It was then that I decided to give notice.
Was it not you who examined the window cleaning equipment immediately after the accident?
Yes, it was. You could see where it had been cut through. I showed it to the policeman.
Thank you. That's all.
Mr. Sneesby, the Crown Solicitor gave us access to the statements you made to the police authorities. My client swears that your entire account of taking tea with Mrs. Mullins, in which she declared affection for you, is a figment of your imagination.
I can't help that.
She will further declare that due to some devious, twisted reasoning on your part, you chose to distort or misunderstand the actions of a woman trying to be nice to a young man without his friends or family. Was she not nice to you?
I didn't say she wasn't.
You realize, of course, Mr. Sneesby, that anyone could have crept into that garage and arranged that rope, do you not?
It's not for me to say whether they could or they couldn't.
Assuming my client is found innocent of this terrible charge, the question remains that once suspicion is diverted from Mrs. Mullins...
Mr. Garnside, the
You will apologize to the court for a wanton disregard for the rules of procedure relating to the cross-examination of a witness. You will also apologize to Mr. Sneesby for an insinuation which is shocking in its import. Now, if you do not, I shall suspend the trial and hold you for contempt.
I apologize, my lord, and to the bench, the jury, and to this witness. I seem to have implied more than I meant the court to infer. I merely wish to say
Never mind your wishes. If you wish to continue, you may do so. But please, look to your line of questioning.
My lord. Mr. Sneesby, 2 cradles were used on the morning of the accident.
Yes?
Was there any previous understanding between you and your employer as to who uses which cradle and rope?
Not an understanding, no.
You don't seem very sure.
Well, Mr. Mullins always goes first, and then I hands him his pail of water and the cleaning material.
I see. And who hands you yours?
I does it myself.
Mr. Sneesby, think back. Are you sure that on every occasion when you and Mr. Mullins worked together from the top of a building, your employer went onto the cradle first?
I can only think of once when Mr. Mullins remembered something he had to do, and I started the windows.
So there was a chance that you could have stepped onto that platform and been sent crashing to the ground below.
Yes, I suppose so.
Yet you have suggested that Mrs. Mullins was in love with you.
That's what she said.
So much in love with you as to risk your life? All right, Mr. Sneesby, that is all.
That closes the case for the Crown, my lord.
Defense?
My lord, what witnesses can I bring to rebut such vague and devious innuendos? For a time, I thought to put my client in the witness box. But what could she say other than she did not cut that rope? I would suggest...
Mr. Garnside, you know perfectly well that this is not the moment to address the court. I take it you have no witnesses you wish to call?
No, my lord.
Then, Mr. Heathcliff, perhaps you would care to commence your summation.
You have seen the mangled, misshapen body of Mr. Mullins, the terrible results that stemmed from the tampering of the rope. Only one person had the opportunity. That strange, lovesick woman now on charge for attempting to murder her husband.
What motive had my client? The Crown admits that Sneesby had no intention of becoming emotionally involved with a woman twice his age. Oh, yes, somebody cut that rope. But can you, in your heart of hearts, solemnly declare that you're sure, positively sure, it was Mrs. Mullins? Well, you've heard all the relevant facts. What is your verdict? Would you say that the attempted murder of Mr. Albert Mullins by Mrs. Mullins was deliberate? In a moment or two, we shall give you the verdict recorded in the actual trial on which this dramatic presentation is based. Well, what was your verdict? In the actual trial on which this dramatic presentation is based, the jury found that Mrs. Phyllis Mullins was guilty of the attempted murder of her husband, Albert Mullins.
Bristol Myers, makers of new Vote toothpaste, hope you enjoyed tonight's presentation of Consider Your Verdict, produced by Michael Silver. On Friday evening at 8:30, you're invited to listen to Medical File, another great dramatic series also brought to you by Bristol Myers. So, goodbye until next Tuesday, when it will be time once again to take your place on the jury of... Consider Your Verdict. GMC and Ranger, South Africa's own car. The time is 8:30.
Constable!
Yes, sir. Can I help you?
Oh, thank goodness I found you.
What's the matter, sir? Is there some trouble?
Trouble? Yes, of course. Come with me at once, back to my office.
What's happened, sir?
Happened? It's my partner. He's been murdered.
It's time for you to take your place on the jury as Bristol Myers, makers of new Vote toothpaste, invite you to consider your verdict.
Gentlemen of the jury, it is with a degree of reluctance and sympathy that I rise to open the case for the Crown against the prisoner at the bar, Henry John Hull, for the murder of Roger Spencer. A sympathy which no doubt members of the jury will share as the facts unfold. For evidence will be led, which will indicate that had he lived, the murdered man might well have had to stand trial on a serious charge. A charge where the prisoner now before you was the victim. But I will be doing less than my duty if I did not beg you, even at this stage, to remove all sympathetic thoughts from your mind and judge the facts impartially. For the law is the law, and whatever steps for redress were available to the prisoner, murder was not and never could fall into that category. The facts are these. For some 15 years, the prisoner worked for Mildenhall's, a small but successful import and export agency, rising to the position of general manager. Some 3 years ago, Mr. Mildenhall himself died and left the business to his only daughter, Agnes. Agnes had very little knowledge of what went on at Mildenhall's, but a considerable wish for the firm to continue on its successful way. To this end, although she was 15 years older than the prisoner, she proposed marriage to him and was accepted. They were married just 6 months after the old man died. All might have been well, despite the difference in their ages, had it not been for Mrs. Hull's extreme jealousy and, unfortunately, well-founded suspicion. She was jealous of anyone who showed the slightest interest in her husband, and suspected an intrigue between her husband and his secretary, Anne Welsh, whom I now call as my first witness. Miss Welsh, you were employed as a secretary at Mildenhall's even before the prisoner's marriage.
Yes. I'd worked for Mr. Hull for just on 5 years.
Over the years, a relationship of considerable intimacy had grown between you and the prisoner. Miss Welsh, I realize that my question may well cause you embarrassment, but the prisoner stands in grave peril, and it was in the best interests of justice that you agreed to give evidence in this case.
Yes.
Well?
Yes, we were lovers.
Both before and after the accused's marriage?
Yes.
Will you please tell the court of a visit you received from the deceased, Roger Spencer, in May of 1966?
It was about 7 o'clock in the evening. Henry, Mr. Hull, had just left. He sometimes used to come to my flat for an hour or so, if he could get away from the office early before he went home. I wasn't expecting anyone, and when the doorbell rang, I thought he must have come back for something.
I'm afraid not, Miss Welsh. He'll be safely on his train heading home by now.
What do you want? Who are you?
I think it might be more sensible if you asked me in. Bad policy to do business on the doorstep. Difficult to keep secrets.
I don't understand, but... all right, come in.
Thank you.
Yes, very nice and comfortable, eh? And pretty, too, yeah, just like you, Miss Wells. Ah, but you're a naughty girl. Yes, a very naughty girl.
Who are you and what are you talking about?
No need to bother about my name. The point is that I know yours and Henry John Hull's. Yes, so that reminds me. You really should be more careful about calling out names when you open the door to total strangers. Oh, yes, that's another thing that would be interesting to Mrs. Hull.
Mrs. Hull? Do you mean...
Yes, you know, it really is very difficult to keep anything private from a really good private detective.
Oh, no.
Well, I'm afraid it's pretty much, oh, yes. Now, listen carefully, because you won't be getting a second chance. Tell your Henry that I know his wife's a difficult cuss, but I might be able to keep her right out of the picture, as long as Henry retains my services. I'm very reasonable, really. Just £40 a week in cash by first post every Monday morning. Here, find the address on his card. Make it quite clear to him that it's not their first thing every Monday. I'll be paying a visit to Mrs. Hull.
I see. Did you understand the intention of this approach?
Yes, it was blackmail.
But you made no attempt to contact the police.
How could I? I had to speak to Henry first.
And you did?
First thing the following morning. I told him exactly what happened.
What was his reaction?
He was shocked. He seemed incapable of trying to find any solution. Darling, why not tell Agnes? Tell her the truth, darling. Look, I'll come with you if you like.
No, it's impossible. It'd be the end of everything. She'd divorce me and then sack me. No, sack me first. She's very fond of reminding me that she owns Milton Halls. Finds it very funny to authorize the salary I draw.
Let her run Milton Halls without you and see what a mess she'd make.
Oh, she'd manage. But I didn't know what to do. Well, it's not so easy at my age.
You're not old. Darling, you have me. I see. I'm not so important as being the lapdog of old man Mildenhall's daughter.
Oh, Anne.
I'm sorry, but what can we do? Telling the police.
Oh, no. No, that'd be just as bad.
I don't see why. They always keep the names out of the papers in a case like this.
Well, she'd get to hear.
What?
I must have time to think of something. I'll pay him next Monday to keep him quiet. Well, it's not much after all. I can manage £40. I'll think of something.
And if you don't, next week it may be 50 or 100. And then we'll be trapped. Surely it's better to stop it before it starts.
No, Anne, now, please. Just let me think.
And so he paid.
Yes.
And went on paying.
Yes. And what I thought would happen did happen. Only not so quickly. After about a year, the demand went up to £60 and then £100.
This last increase was demanded just 2 days before Spencer died.
Yes.
And what happened?
We talked about it again, and this time Henry agreed.
Yes, Anne, it's the only way. I'll talk to him and make him realize that I can't possibly manage £100 without it becoming obvious to the accountants that something's up. And then Agnes will hear. I'll tell him that unless he agrees to something reasonable, less even than £40, we'll go to the police and take our chance.
You think he'll listen?
No, he'll listen. To someone like that, anything's better than nothing and the chance of a prison sentence. I'll take him £25 and tell him that's the limit from now on. He's lucky to get that.
And the next evening, the prisoner left the office to keep that appointment.
Yes.
Taking the £25 in notes in an envelope with him.
Yes.
Thank you. That is all.
Miss Welch, you love Henry Hull?
Yes.
After the appointment with Spencer, which you just heard about, did my client ring you from the station?
Yes.
And did he tell you to relax and not to worry, that everything was all right?
Yes.
Did he sound normal and calm during that telephone call?
Perfectly calm. He was a little hurried as he'd only just time to phone before catching his train.
And have you at any time doubted his entire innocence of the crime of which he's charged?
Never.
Thank you, Miss Welch.
I now call Percy Ticknell. Now, Mr. Ticknell, you're a partner in the Spencer Detective Agency.
Well, hardly a partner. I was just the one who did most of the footwork. Rod sat in the office and had the bright ideas.
Rod?
Spencer, the boss. Oh, we sometimes went out on a job, but it was mostly me who hid in the bushes and noticed when the lights went out.
I take it the agency dealt mainly with evidence for divorce cases.
Mostly.
Please tell the court what happened on the night of the murder.
Well, I've been out of the office all afternoon, seen a client in Cricklewood. And then what with the traffic and one thing and another, I was later back than I intended to be.
Now, one moment. You had a reason for wanting to get back.
Oh, yes, Roger. Mr. Spencer told me to get back by 5:30.
Right then, tell her it's going to cost a bit more. Oh, you'll have to make another trip to Brighton to make sure of the facts. Brighton? You just thought Brighton had gone out of fashion years ago. Well, they still use it.
Handy, I suppose. And a good train service.
Yes, indeed. I'll get back by 5:30. I've got someone coming around to see me. I think it might be a good idea to have you here.
Expecting trouble, eh?
No, it's just a private matter, but, well, it may have a calming effect if he sees you sitting in the outer office. You know?
What should I be doing? Polishing me knuckle duster?
It's a thought. Off you go.
But you were not back by 5:30.
No, it was nearer 6:15.
And what did you find?
Well, the outer door of the office wasn't locked, so I knew Spencer was still there. I went in. The door between the outer office and his was open. When I went through, there he was, slumped over his desk with his head lying in a pool of blood.
He was dead?
Yeah. Well, I ran out into the street and called a policeman.
Thank you. That is all.
Mr. Ticknell, you say Spencer was dead. Did you examine him to make sure?
No, there was no need. He was dead, all right.
You have had extensive experience of violent death.
Enough. What with the war and all. Look, are you suggesting he wasn't dead?
I'm not suggesting anything at the moment, Mr. Ticknell. You ran out into the street and found a policeman.
Yeah.
Well, surely the simpler course would have been to lift the telephone and ring Scotland Yard.
Look, I know my business. I didn't want to touch anything in the office.
Wasn't there another telephone in the outer office?
Yes.
Could any harm have been done or any evidence obliterated by using that instrument?
Well, I didn't think of it. I just ran and found a policeman.
Hardly the calm behavior of someone who spends his life tracking petty marital infidelities. However, let it pass. Spencer gave you no indication as to whom he was expecting.
No.
Nor to the nature of his business.
He said it was private.
How long did you work for Spencer?
Just over 6 years.
And you had no suspicions as to what these items of private business might be?
No.
Do you seriously expect this court to believe that you worked with Spencer, with no secretary, with no other minions, for 6 years, and yet you had no idea that behind the squalid official business that provided a front as the Spencer Detective Agency, Spencer was running a very lucrative blackmailing racket?
I knew nothing about it.
Such blindness can hardly be a recommendation in your profession.
I do my job and I draw my pay for it.
And bonuses?
Sometimes.
Did not those bonuses reflect the occasions when there had been an exceptionally successful shakedown, I think the phrase is?
I tell you, I knew nothing about that. Spencer just used to give me a bit extra when there was good profit from a job.
In cash?
Yes.
Tax-free? Did you declare these cash payments to the receiver of revenue?
No.
And that is all, Mr. Ticknell.
In that case, the court will adjourn. And the court adjourned. We remind you that this dramatic Bristol Myers.
Inspector Robbins, you're in charge of the investigation into the death of Roger Spencer.
Yes, sir.
Please tell the court what you found.
Well, I was informed by the constable on duty when I arrived at the office of Spencer Detective Agency that nothing had been touched since his arrival. The body of Mr. Spencer was lying forward across his desk, and the base of his skull had been smashed in by a steel bar about 2 feet long. This bar had been on Spencer's desk and had been used either as a ruler or a paperweight. The medical report later confirmed that only one blow had been struck, that this had been the instantaneous cause of death.
You questioned Mr. Tickle?
Yes, I did. He told me that the dead man had been expecting a visitor. On examining the pockets of the dead man, I found a diary which had an entry, Hull, 5:30 for that day. Hull. Do you know anyone named Hull, Mr. Ticknell?
Oh, I don't think so. But, no, wait a minute. I think we did an investigation for a Mrs. Hull a year or so back. Well, the file ought to be here. Oh, well, that's odd. Doesn't seem to be here. I'm sure it was that name.
Well, he might have taken the file out of the drawer if his visitor had anything to do with the case.
Yeah, that's possible.
There was a locked drawer in the desk, which I opened with a key from Spencer's ring. There were some 16 files in the drawer, including one marked Hull. Pinned to the reports in the file was a piece of paper with various dates and sums of money written on it. You any idea what this is all about? Thought you said you finished the investigation some time ago.
That's right, we did.
Yeah, but these dates, yeah, they go right up to last Monday, and the cash amounts.
Oh, I don't understand it.
Oh, seems to be reasonable divorce evidence.
Yes, I remember now, but I was never called. I suppose they patched it up.
Oh, that's one explanation. Let's look at these other files. All the other files had similar entries on the first page, and I became sure that besides a murder, I'd uncovered what looked like a blackmail racket.
What did you do then?
I listed all the names on the files I'd found in the desk, but because of the diary entry, there was only one which seemed urgent. Early the following morning, I called at the prisoner's office.
Well, Inspector, what can I do for you?
Mr. Hull, I'm investigating the death of a private inquiry agent called Roger Spencer, and I have reason to believe that you called at his office late yesterday afternoon.
Really, Inspector? What makes you think that?
Mr. Hull, don't let's beat about the bush. Perhaps it'll help if I tell you that I think you were being blackmailed by Spencer.
Oh.
And also you had an appointment with him yesterday at 5:30.
I see. Well, yes, those are the facts, but... Wait a minute. Did you say something about Spencer's death?
He was murdered somewhere shortly before 6:15.
6:15? Well, that's impossible. It must have been almost 6 when I left him, and, well, he was very much alive then.
Can you prove that?
Are you accusing me, Inspector?
No, I'm not accusing anyone, but you admit you were there sometime after 5:30, and he was dead at 6:15. You see, it is rather a narrow gap.
But he was alive. He was hoping to go on living very comfortably out of me for years.
Did anyone see you leave?
I don't know. I mean, there was no one else in the office, but well, other people in the building might have seen me.
You don't remember anyone?
No, I was very upset, but there must have been someone.
Well, you were upset?
Yes, I'd gone there intending to call his bluff.
Yes?
He'd been bleeding me week after week for months. It started quite small. But then he began to demand £100 a week. I told him that all he'd get in the future was £25. But he laughed and persuaded me that, well, my own future would be even worse if I didn't go on retaining him, as he put it. You can imagine I was in no state to notice people when I left the office.
Oh, why people like you, Mr. Hull, never come to the police at the very beginning, I could never understand. The misery that could be prevented.
Yes, well, it's easy to say that, Inspector, if you've never actually been in this position.
What was the prisoner's demeanor during this interview?
He seemed nervy, on edge. In fact, he'd been fiddling with some envelopes on his desk, and at this point, in a manner which struck me as being not quite normal, he dropped several of them into a wastepaper basket. I walked round the desk, and looking into the basket, I noticed that one of the envelopes appeared to contain something. Oh, that's careless, Mr. Hull. There's something in this one. Yeah. Oh, money. £25.
Careless? Yes, but this whole business has reduced me to such a nervous state that I hardly know what I'm doing.
£25.
Yes, Inspector, you've guessed it. That's the money I tried to offer Spencer last night, but he just handed it back to me and told me to produce the right amount by tonight.
He handed it back to you?
Yes.
Would you mind if I keep these for a moment? Naturally, I'll give you a receipt, but if we find Spencer's prints on it, it'll help to verify your story. In fact, it was not the fingerprints which interested me, but that on one of the notes I'd seen something that looked like blood.
And was it blood?
Yes, the laboratory report stated that not only was it blood, but that it had not been on the note for more than 48 hours. And also that it was of the same group as the dead man. As soon as I had this report, I returned to the prisoner's office. Mr. Hull, when you went to Spencer's office, were you wearing gloves?
Yes, I normally wear gloves on the street.
But during your interview...
Well, I think I kept them on.
Was it a natural thing to do?
Well, I didn't expect to be there long. Why do you ask?
Well, it seemed unusual for someone to visit an office without touching anything. A door handle, a chair, a desk. But although we've checked every fingerprint in that office, there's no trace of a print of yours.
But I told you, I was wearing gloves.
Have you got these gloves?
I'm afraid not. They were rather grubby, and I left them at the dry cleaners on the way to the office this morning.
As a result of the information I now had, I arrested him on suspicion of murder of Roger Spencer and issued the usual warning.
No further questions.
Inspector, has my client ever denied that he was the victim of a blackmailer?
No, but that will be difficult in view of the evidence.
Has he ever denied visiting Spencer's office on the day of the murder?
No.
Despite the fact that you can produce no proof that he was actually there?
He admits he was there.
Has he ever varied his story that Spencer was alive and well when he left the office?
No.
Those 25 pounds in notes which you took from my client, have you found his fingerprints on them?
No.
Or those of Spencer?
No, there were a great many smudges on them, but nothing clear enough for identification.
Did you check the notes before sending them to the laboratory?
No.
So any clear prints were probably obliterated in the laboratory?
Possibly.
Would it not have been a more honest approach to check my client's story before chasing a theory of your own?
At the time, and as was subsequently proved, the blood stain seemed more important.
That is not an answer to my question, and is something for the jury to decide.
Even if it had been done in the other order, it's unlikely that any clear prints would have been found.
But you didn't do it?
No.
Thank you. Would you agree that it's a normal thing for a man who is naturally fastidious in his dress to take a pair of soiled gloves to the cleaners?
Yes.
I assume that you are hoping to find blood stains on the gloves. When you checked with the dry cleaners, had they noted any abnormal marks on them?
They had made no note of any.
They had just accepted them as a pair of ordinary gloves soiled by normal wear.
They made no special record.
Now, let us return to the 16 files that you found in Spencer's desk. You allege that all these involved victims of the blackmail racket?
It is a very delicate matter.
Oh, I'm sure it is. But were they all victims?
I think that can be assumed.
Assumed. Do you mean that they have not all been checked?
No, it is a delicate matter, and
Inspector, is this court to believe that there are 15 other people walking around today who in all probability had an identical motive to that of my client, and you have not taken the trouble to check?
They didn't have appointments with the deceased on that day.
Well, how can you be sure? If you have not checked with the living, have you been in contact with the dead? Do the police now use Ouija boards or tarot cards? I'm sure the court will be interested to hear. No matter. Finally, the question of the bloodstained note. Have you any idea of how many notes bearing a bloodstain are in circulation in this country at the moment?
No.
No, neither have I. But the point is that you haven't checked. Was Spencer's blood group common or rare?
Common.
And for all your laboratory tests, you have been unable to pinpoint the time when the note became stained more accurately than within 48 hours.
That seemed accurate enough.
Seemed? Inspector, your whole investigation would seem to lie in the realm of conjecture. That is all.
The facts are there for all to see. The blood-stained note, the careful use of gloves to preserve an anonymity. Had the prisoner cared to search his victim and take away the diary and remove the file from the locked drawer, this might well have been added to the list of unsolved crimes. But how could he guess that in death his victim would point a finger directly at him? What then is the picture of the truth? The interview. The prisoner begging to be released from these incessant demands. The brutal refusal. In desperate fury, the prisoner snatches up the steel ruler from the desk and delivers the fatal blow. The victim slumps forward, spattering the pile of banknotes with his blood. Quickly and without noticing their condition, the prisoner takes back his money and flees the office. That is the sad story which has been proved in court, and on which you can return no other verdict
the net of guilty.
What, in fact, has been proved by the Crown? Nothing? Is there proof that the blood on the note could have come only from Spencer? No. Is there proof that none of the other 15, yes, 15 possible victims of blackmail entered the office in the afternoon in question? No. Their stories, let alone their alibis, have never been checked. Is there proof that Ticknell did not commit the crime? You yourselves are the best judges of the character of this man and the value of his evidence. I need say no more concerning the investigating methods of this officer who found one slender straw and grasped it, ignoring all other possible leads. All this can only lead to a condition of doubt in your minds, and my client is entitled to that doubt.
Well, you have heard all the relevant facts in the case. Would you say that Henry John Hull was guilty or not guilty of the murder of Roger Spencer? In just a moment, we will bring you the verdict recorded in the actual trial upon which this dramatic presentation is based. Well, what was your verdict? In the actual trial, the prisoner, Henry John Hull, was found guilty of murder.
Bristol Myers, makers of new Vote toothpaste, hope you enjoyed tonight's presentation of Consider Your Verdict, produced by Michael Silver. On Friday evening at 8:30, you're invited to listen to Medical File, another great dramatic series also brought to you by Bristol Myers. So, goodbye until next Tuesday, when it will be time once again to take your place on the jury of... Consider Your Verdict.
Dr. Fuller, I've called you in as a consultant. What do you think of Mrs. Thomas's condition?
Yes, no doubt about it, Dr. Mortimer. I think she's suffering from arsenical poisoning.
Then you agree with my diagnosis?
Oh, I do. And I recommend that the patient should be transferred to the Plymouth Hospital immediately. I believe you, Miss Hale, have been acting as nurse.
That's right, Doctor.
Have you got any arsenic in any form in this house?
I don't think so. Perhaps Mr. Thomas might...
Does weed killer contain arsenic?
Aye, indeed it does.
Well, we've got weed killer in the house. But I don't see how she could have got hold of that.
Bristol Myers, manufacturers of Ingram and Vitalis men's toiletries, the Mum range of toilet preparations, and nice and easy hair coloring, invite you to consider your verdict.
It's the sensational new hair color you just shampoo in. Enriched with special conditioners, nice and easy leaves your hair silky, glossy, beautiful. Nice and easy. Want hair lighter, darker, to cover gray? It's new from Clairol of America, nice and easy shampoo in color gives your hair that really natural look. The closer he gets, the better you look with nice and easy.
Consider your verdict.
My lord, gentlemen of the jury, in the autumn of last year, the deceased and her husband, Graham Thomas, moved from the Midlands to Cornwall for the sake of the deceased's health. The accused was hired as a nurse and companion. You might think that this was an unusual occupation for a girl as young as the accused. However, it would seem that there were other attractions in the Thomas household apart from the desire to be a dedicated nurse.
How's Avril this evening, Anne?
She had another attack. Of course, she may last for years.
It can't be a very pleasant house for you. I know that Avril is a difficult woman. Why do you shut yourself away in a place like this, Anne? You're young.
You're married to a woman 20 years older than yourself. I could ask the same question of you.
There's only one question I want to ask you. You know what it is, don't you? Oh, well, don't you?
You're married.
I could get a divorce.
Could you? I don't think you're the type. Your wife is wealthy, isn't she?
Now, wait a minute, Anne.
You make a proposition on the one hand, and on the other you deny the truth. Did you marry her because you loved her?
I said I'd get a divorce.
But you haven't got the strength to do it, have you, Graham?
Oh, well.
That's all the answer I need. So, you see, it'll never work out unless Avril dies or you get a divorce.
On October the 18th, the Thomases invited Anne Hale to accompany them on a picnic. Graham Thomas asked the accused to make the sandwiches. She filled them with tinned salmon, as she had often done on similar occasions. They set off at about 3 p.m. and arrived at the picnic spot about an hour later. It started raining shortly afterwards, and the three people retired to a cafe and ordered tea. While the waitress was in the kitchen getting their order, the accused opened the packet of sandwiches and put them on the table. You will hear evidence to the effect that the waitress saw them there when she returned with the tea tray. She will also tell you that the three stayed in the cafe for about half an hour and did not leave any of the sandwiches behind. At about 6:45, they began their return journey. After a short while, Mrs. Thomas felt ill and was sick several times in the car. You will please note that neither her husband nor the accused was sick. When they got back to the house, Mr. Thomas helped his wife to bed. She was now suffering from extreme pains and had abdominal pain and cramp in her legs. Her husband, therefore, fetched Dr. Mortimer, and he arrived at about 9:30. Dr. Mortimer had not attended the deceased before.
Well, Doctor, is it serious?
I don't think so, Mr. Thomas. She had tinned salmon sandwiches, you say?
That's right, Doctor. I made them.
Well, her symptoms are consistent with food poisoning. This prescription should help her. One can't be too careful these days. Oh, I'm not blaming you, Miss Hale. It could have happened to anyone. However, if she doesn't improve, I would suggest you get a nurse. She needs someone to do the cooking for her.
No, that won't be necessary. Miss Hale here is a qualified nurse.
Ah, excellent. I'll call round in a few days' time. I'm sure that we'll find she's improved considerably.
However, when Dr. Mortimer called again, he found that she had made little improvement. After repeated visits, Mrs. Thomas did continue to make progress. On Sunday, November the 2nd, he omitted his usual daily call. The next day, when he called, he found her critically ill. She was delirious and unable to move her legs, and her reflexes had gone. Dr. Mortimer therefore suggested that a consultant should be called in. As a result, Dr. Fuller from Plymouth arrived in the evening and insisted that Mrs. Thomas be taken to hospital immediately. She was taken there about midnight, but died shortly after admission on the morning of November the 4th. A post-mortem examination was ordered. You will hear from the city analyst that certain organs were found to contain a total of 0.85 grains of white arsenic. The results of these post-mortem investigations were not made public, but Mr. Thomas was naturally informed that such an investigation would be held. He, in turn, informed the accused.
You see, frankly, Anne, I don't like all this gossip. I wish they'd get it over and done with.
But, Graham, they know that her illness was due to the tinned salmon.
Yes, well, I'm not so sure.
2 days later, Miss Anne Hale disappeared. She wrote a letter before she went. My lord, I would like to enter it as Exhibit A and read it to the court. It reads as follows. Dear Graham, it's time to say goodbye.
I'm innocent, but I can't forget the gossip in town, or your insinuations. The fact is that she's dead, and she did eat the sandwiches I prepared. When I'm dead, they will be sure I'm guilty, but you at least will be clear.
Yours, A.H. Mr. Thomas took the letter to the police. They traced Anne Hale as far as the cliffs on the Cornish coast. There they found her coat, but that was all. The police search was intensified, and they found Anne Hale at last working as a sales lady under an assumed name in Brighton. She was arrested on the 18th of January and charged with the murder of Averell Thomas. You are, of course, aware that she appears before you charged with murder. My lord, gentlemen of the jury, as the first witness for the Crown, I would like to call Dr. Eric Walton, the Home Office pathologist. Dr. Walton, would you please describe the post-mortem examination you made on the body of the deceased, Averell Thomas?
Well, sir, I found arsenic in all the organs. Most of it was in the muscles, nails, and hair. I took the longest lock of hair I could find and found arsenic in it from root to tip. As the hair was 4.5 inches long, and we can presume that the growth of hair is approximately half an inch a month, I deduced that the arsenic must have been absorbed for at least 7 months before death.
Can you amplify that statement, Doctor?
Yes, sir. I cut the lock into 3 equal portions and calculated the approximate amount of arsenic in each. My estimate in parts per million was 10 in the portion furthest away from the scalp, 15 in the middle portion, and 23 in the portion nearest the scalp. From these figures, I've come to the conclusion that the dose was increased in frequency, or in amount, or in both, in the 2 or 3 months immediately before death.
And your conclusion, Dr. Walton?
That the doctor who was in charge of the case was correct. It is my opinion that she died of arsenical poisoning.
What was the total amount of arsenic in the organs?
It was 0.501 of a grain.
The rest was in the muscles and hair?
Yes, approximately 0.2 of a grain.
You therefore found 3/4 of a grain of arsenic?
Yes, a fatal dose in its original form.
Would you describe the symptoms prior to Mrs. Thomas's death typical of arsenical poisoning?
Oh, yes.
If the final and fatal dose was administered by way of the sandwiches, what would your estimate of that dose be?
10 grains of arsenic. If weed killer was used, 14.3 grains of arsenic.
Thank you, Doctor. I have no further questions.
My lord, I represent the prisoner at the bar. Dr. Walton, have you ever attended a patient suffering from arsenical poisoning?
No.
Where have you obtained your information in your learned exposition of the subject?
By reading, but that does not make my evidence any less valid.
Quite, Doctor, quite. Dr. Walton, did you examine samples of earth taken from above and below the coffin?
I did.
What did you discover? Was there arsenic in the soil?
Yes, there was. I found that the soil from above the coffin contained 125 parts per million, and the soil below 62 parts.
This is typical of the soil in Cornwall.
Yes.
What precautions did you take against contamination by dust when you conducted your post-mortem?
Why, the usual.
The usual? The post-mortem was conducted at the graveside.
Yes.
Were the glass jars covered immediately?
Well, obviously not. It took me some time. The jars were covered about an hour later.
And during that time they were exposed to contamination by dust raised from arsenic-impregnated ground? Now, Doctor, you've told the court that in the case of Mrs. Thomas, you discovered a total amount of 3/4 of a grain of arsenic in the body.
Yes, sir.
Was this quantity not arrived at by a process of multiplication?
Yes.
Well, can you therefore give the court the amount you actually found in the muscle you examined?
It was 1/6,400th of a grain.
I would like to interrupt for a moment. Your method of arriving at the total amount of arsenic found in the body is an estimate based on calculation?
That is correct, my lord. Calculation as well as analysis. I followed the normal practice of analyzing small parts of the organs and then multiplying by the appropriate factor.
And most of the arsenic, you said, was found in the muscles?
Yes, my lord.
I see. Will you continue your cross-examination, Sir Patrick?
Yes, my lord. Now, Dr. Walton, I referred you to your post-mortem examination. You told the court that arsenic was found in the muscles.
That's correct, sir. 0.2 of a grain.
How did you arrive at this figure?
By analyzing a sample of muscle weighing 1/8 of an ounce, in which I found 1/6,400th grain of arsenic, and then multiplying on the assumption that the muscles accounted for 40% of the total weight of the body.
And what did you estimate the total weight of the body to be?
80 pounds.
You therefore assumed that the total weight of the muscles was about 32 pounds.
Yes.
Doctor, I put it to you that an adult weighing only 80 pounds is obviously in a very emaciated condition.
Well, yes, that is correct.
And in a badly nourished body, the muscles are the first to lose weight. Should not the weight of the muscles have been 12 or 15% of the weight of the body instead of 40%?
I'm afraid not. If the muscle wasted, so would the other parts of the body in proportion, so that the 40% would still apply.
But is it not a fact that this woman was ill for a considerable period? And that after 7 months of weakness and illness, there is bound to be a natural waste?
Some muscles waste.
What is this factor you used in multiplication to arrive at the total amount of arsenic?
The factor was over 4,000.
Indeed. So the slightest error you might have made would have been multiplied 4,000 times.
I must agree.
In other words, if one speck of arsenical dust landed on the material that you were examining, material which had been exposed in the churchyard for over an hour, that would account for all the arsenic you found.
If I made an error.
Were you surprised to find arsenic in the soil?
Yes, I was.
If the hair had been in contact with arsenic, either inside or outside the coffin, might it have absorbed it?
Yes, if in contact with soluble arsenic.
Is it not the case that every time there is a shower of rain, you will find arsenic in the percolating fluid?
Yes.
Can you exclude the possibility of contamination of the hair and organs through the arsenic in the soil?
It is a possibility, but I also think it extremely unlikely.
Sir Patrick, will your cross-examination last much longer?
Yes, my lord.
In that case, I suggest that the court adjourn for lunch.
And so the court adjourns in the trial of the Crown versus Anne Josephine Hale, brought to you by Bristol Myers and their dealers throughout the country. The court is once more in session, and counsel for the defense has called back his witness, Dr. Eric Walton.
Let us return to the case of Mrs. Thomas. The case for the prosecution is based on the charge that the arsenic was administered in the sandwiches.
Yes?
In the form of weed killer?
That is correct.
Dr. Walton, did you ever conduct the experiment of adding weed killer to the inside of a moist sandwich?
I can't say that I have.
Well, let me tell you that the defense has. For your information, Dr. Walton, within half an hour, the sandwich is stained bluish purple. Would anyone in their right mind eat a sandwich of that color?
I have not conducted that experiment.
Now, you do say, however, that in your opinion, the weed killer was used in solid form.
That is what I suggested.
But you did not take sandwiches and put 14.3 grains of weed killer on them.
No.
Will you grant me, then, that weed killer discolors a white fluid?
It certainly changes the color.
That is with 2 grains?
Yes.
7 times as much would discolor it very much more.
Yes, of course.
Now, you put 14 grains on a moist sandwich and carry it for hours, and you still say that you doubt that the sandwich would be discolored and blue?
I have not tried it. But my opinion, for what it is worth, is that it would not.
Now, you must forgive me, Dr. Walton. You say you found arsenic in Mrs. Thomas's muscles, nails, and hair.
Yes.
But, Doctor, I would agree with you that its presence would have pointed to poisoning if she had been buried in almost any other counter in England. Cornwall is famous for its tin. And where there is tin in the ground, there is usually arsenic too. Now, surely you'll grant me that.
I will grant you that in Cornish soil the arsenic content is exceptionally high.
Thank you, Doctor. Now, it is your contention that the last dose of arsenic Mrs. Thomas received was when she ate those sandwiches.
No. Oh, no. My findings proved that Mrs. Thomas received another dose some days after.
When, Doctor?
It could not have been less than 5 days before death.
Indeed. My learned friend has told the court that evidence would be led to the effect that none was given after the 18th of October. He also made a point of stating that this was on the very day that the accused took charge and did all the nursing and most of the cooking.
I cannot agree with that.
Do you now say that, in your view, there was arsenic taken into the body of Mrs. Thomas as late as October the 30th?
I cannot fix the date, but somewhere about that time.
Doctor, you've been most helpful. I have no further questions to put to you.
My lord, that concludes the case for the Crown.
Now, gentlemen of the jury, we've heard much from Dr. Walton. Dr. Walton, who has never attended one person suffering from arsenical poisoning, yet he spoke of symptoms with the same confidence as he spoke of other matters. Let the cobbler stick to his last. As the first witness for the defense, I would like to call Dr. David. Dr. David, will you please tell the court your qualifications?
I am a doctor of forensic medicine.
Doctor, have you attended many cases of arsenical poisoning?
A few in Egypt.
Would you describe the conditions of the post-mortem as held at the graveside of Mrs. Thomas as ideal?
Definitely not. No special precautions against contamination were taken. It is therefore my considered opinion that the findings are worthless.
You have heard Dr. Walton's opinion, or assumption, that the total weight of the muscles was about 32 pounds. What is your opinion?
I think the assumption is quite unwarrantable. I think the proportion in this case could not have been more than 15% at the most.
You therefore say that Dr. Walton made an error?
A very serious error.
Have you formed an opinion as to the guilt or innocence of the accused?
It is my opinion that she's innocent.
Thank you, Dr. David.
And Dr. David, you have told my learned friend that you have attended a few cases of arsenical poisoning in Egypt.
Yes.
How many?
About one a week.
You describe that as a few?
In this country, it may seem to be a large average, but in Egypt, I assure you, it was not considered many.
I have no further questions.
My lord, as the last witness, I would like to call the prisoner at the bar. Anne Hale, did you kill Avril Thomas?
I swear I did not.
My learned friend has told the court in his opening address that apart from the doctors, you were the only one who looked after Mrs. Thomas during her illness.
Yes.
No one else attended on her?
Well, there was Mr. Thomas.
Yes, of course, Mr. Graham Thomas. Why did you decide to run away?
Because Graham, well, he almost accused me. I realized then that he didn't really love me, and so I decided to leave, to put an end to it all.
So it was your intention to commit suicide, not because you feared a police investigation, but because you realized that his love for you was at an end?
Yes. And then I couldn't go through with it. I went down to Brighton to try and forget it all.
Did anyone eat any of those sandwiches apart from Mrs. Thomas?
Yes, I did.
And you had no after effects?
No.
Did Graham Thomas have a sandwich?
No, he did not.
My lord, that concludes the case for the defense. It was never the defense's intention to decry the ability of an analyst with the reputation and stature of Dr. Walton. Dr. Walton is eminently qualified to express opinions as an analyst. But, gentlemen of the jury, he is human, and therefore fallible. Now, you've heard the evidence of Dr. David. Arsenical poisoning is rare in this country, but commonplace in Egypt. Are you prepared to accept the evidence of Dr. Walton in preference to that of Dr. David? That unfortunate woman has been in prison for nearly 6 months, awaiting trial. Members of the jury, this girl has dwelt in the shadows. I ask you by your verdict to send her back into the sunlight, away from the shadows which have haunted her so long.
Well, I want to tell you I'm lost. They should have called somebody else in on this jury, not me. I didn't understand half of what they were talking about.
I must confess a lot of the conclusions and statements made by the two medical witnesses had me rather confused, too.
Well, it seems to boil down to this. Neither the prosecution nor the defense is denying that arsenic was found in Dr. Walton's jars, or whatever he was using to do the post-mortem.
Well, that's right. The point at issue is, was this arsenic actually in the dead woman's body, or did it find its way into the jars from the surrounding soil?
Well, I don't see how we're expected to decide that. How could we, anyway?
Well, there's no doubt that this woman, Anne Hale, had a motive.
Well, I'm not so sure about that either. Look, this woman was not in the best of health anyway. A dead woman, I mean. Why didn't she just wait if she wanted to marry her husband?
This fellow Thomas. Now, here's the dark horse, if you ask me. I don't know why he isn't on trial instead of the woman.
Obviously because the Crown wasn't able to make out a case against him, that's why.
Well, if you ask me, they haven't made out a case against the girl either. I don't believe she killed her. What'd she stand to gain? The fella isn't exactly an oil painter, is he?
Oh, we mustn't get sidetracked by personalities, you know. Now, the Crown obviously thinks the motive is strong enough. Well, that should be good enough for us.
But why should it? The judge told us to sift every little bit of evidence. Remember that. We don't have to accept anything as being just because the prosecutor tells us it is. I don't think she's guilty.
And what about you?
Me? Well, if she didn't do it, who did, I say? I can't believe that this doctor, doing the post-mortem, made a complete muck-up of the whole business. That's what the defense is trying to say, isn't it?
Well, I think he did. He sounded a bit of a waffler to me. What do you think?
I'm inclined to feel that she's guilty. Now then, I suggest we start from the beginning and go meticulously over all the facts.
Silence in court! Gentlemen of the jury, have you arrived at a true and just verdict?
We have, my lord. We find the prisoner at the bar, and Josephine Hale.
Well, you have heard all the relevant facts. Now we ask you to consider your verdict. Would you say the accused was guilty or not guilty? In a moment or two, we shall give you the verdict recorded in the actual trial on which this dramatic presentation is based.
Hey, Dad, do you mind? You've got my shaving cream.
Yes, I ran out of mine, but I must say I like yours better. What is it? Ingram. Stays nice and moist. Somehow my razor seems twice as sharp.
Well, that's why I like it, Dad. Gives me a smooth, comfortable shave. And you'll like the refreshing, cool feeling it gives you afterwards.
Well, I'm glad I ran out of mine. I'm going to use Ingram in future. You youngsters seem to know everything these days.
Sure, Dad. But buy your own next time. Ingram's the name.
Research shows Ipana cleans teeth and helps protect them, too.
Ipana has a barrier against decay that will not rinse or wash away. Ipana has a barrier against decay that will not rinse or wash away.
Brush your teeth regularly with Ipana.
Consider your verdict.
Silence in court. Gentlemen of the jury, have you arrived at a true and just verdict?
We have, my lord. We find the prisoner at the bar, and Josephine Hale, not guilty of murder.
enjoyed tonight's presentation of Consider Your Verdict, which was produced by Michael Silver for Bristol Myers, manufacturers of Ingram and Vitalis men's toiletries, the Mum range of toilet preparations, and nice and easy hair coloring. Listen also to City Hospital, the dramatic Bristol Myers series featuring Dr. Marlowe on Friday evening at 8:30. And be sure to be by your set next Tuesday evening, when you will again be asked to consider your verdict.